The 100,000-strong army of the Great Xia dynasty dispersed and proceeded to massacre one nomadic tribe after another on the grassland with an overwhelming stance. Wherever they passed, blood flowed like rivers, and for 1,000 miles, there were no rooster calls. Each tribe was completely burned to the ground. This was because most of the true elite of these tribes had been transferred to join the Divine Eagle Empire in their southern expedition, leaving the old, weak, sick, and disabled in the tribes. Faced with the fully armed, near-tooth-armed Great Xia soldiers, where even the weakest cultivator could adorn a set of biological armor, the combat strength was simply incomparable for these tribes. Every encounter in battle was one-sided, the wealth of the grassland tribes was plundered, and the herders became cold corpses. The Great Xia dynasty pursued speed in their advance on the grassland, avoiding the burden of bringing captives. The plundered wealth could be stored in storage bags, and those herders were basically executed on the spot, leaving no future troubles. Before the rolling wheels, they all faced one outcome: becoming corpses, which, in turn, could be more conveniently carried away by the Great Xia army, since corpses could be stored in storage bags. Logically speaking, finding those scattered nomadic tribes on the vast grassland is not an easy task. In the past, the Dili dynasty had also sent surprise troops into the grassland, but they often got lost in the vastness of the grassland. The nomadic tribes, unlike the Zhongyuan dynasty, do not build cities to live fixedly in one place. They live by following water and grass, rendering maps virtually useless. Often, the surprise troops of the Dili dynasty would be discovered before finding the nest of the nomadic tribes, only to be surrounded and killed. But for the Great Xia dynasty army, they could always accurately locate the positions of those nomadic peoples, and then quickly execute the policy of killing, robbing, and burning everything. This is because, in the high sky of the 33 heavens, there were sky eye satellites launched by the Great Xia dynasty's puppet hall, providing the army with precise positioning of the enemy. Coupled with the prevailing popularity of communication devices like cell phones, the Great Xia army was unbeatable, achieving a dimensional reduction attack on the battlefield to find and eradicate the enemy tribe's main base. Intelligence information was the most crucial core of 21st century warfare on Blue Star, and this concept was identically applicable in the Tianyuan world. Because the Great Xia army basically left no survivors, by the time the Divine Eagle Empire's Real main force of 300,000 controlled Bao cavalry learned of it, over 10 million people had already fallen under the slaughtering knife of the Great Xia dynasty, with the soul-summoning banner filled with Yin souls. At this moment, the war underwent an earth-shattering reversal. The Divine Eagle Empire, which always raided the grain of the Zhongyuan dynasty, was now pushed back by the Zhongyuan dynasty, and it was a thunderous action to eradicate them. This is also the biggest difference between the Great Xia dynasty, born of the demon sect, and the Dili dynasty. Under the leadership of Su Jie, the Great Xia dynasty practiced a style of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and blood for blood. When civilization encounters barbarism, other countries like the Dili dynasty would compromise and back down, emphasizing being a land of etiquette. But when the Great Xia dynasty encounters such things, it claims its civilization to be more barbaric than yours. Isn't it just about massacring and plundering? The Great Xia dynasty born from the demon sect has never backed down from any force. By the time the Divine Eagle Empire finally learned that the Great Xia dynasty was carrying out massacres deep in the grassland, several days had passed. At the Sunset Prairie, a pocket world due to the production of red sunset iron ore, the pasture here appeared golden, as if bathed in the glow of the setting sun. It was also the stationing ground for the main forces of the Divine Eagle Empire. A coalition of 300,000 troops was here, with over 1 million horses. They say when the troops exceed 10,000, they are endless. 300,000 troops mostly maintain a configuration of one person for every 3 horses, and these horses have special bloodlines, while the riders are not ordinary people, at least possessing cultivation. And in front of the army, there are numerous exotic beasts, some standing dozens to hundreds of meters in height. There are 2-headed giants over 100 meters tall, and fierce birds with a wingspan of over 100 feet, whose roars shake the heavens and earth. They are war giant beasts cultivated by the Divine Eagle Empire, usually only deployed in large-scale warfare, previously used to attack some fortified city arrays and to counter machines of war like the flying magic boat. When the 3,000,000 cavalry of the Divine Eagle Empire resting here heard the news of numerous tribes being treacherously and shamelessly raided by the Great Xia army, slaughtered regardless of gender or age, they were all angered to the point of fury, their faces turning livid. At this moment, within the central command tent of these 300,000 riders, the common lord of the Divine Eagle Empire, the divine King Tai Mutu, whom countless tribes worshipped, also received distress letters from the tribes. Tai Mutu presented the image of a burly man over 2 meters tall, with red hair and eyes, his crimson hair exuding a terrifying high temperature, causing the void around him to distort. If any member of the Thousand Immortals Association were present, they would surely recognize this as the human characteristics exhibited when the signature cultivation technique of the Yang Palace Holy Land, the Yang Flame Sky Burning Technique, has been cultivated to an extremely advanced level. Beneath Tai Mutu were seated 4 Purple Mansion Realm Dharma Kings, and the chiefs, shamans, and totem warriors from various tribes. Almost all were top Dao platform realm experts, numbering over 100, representing the high-level strength of the Divine Eagle Empire. Divine King, the Great Xia army is committing an inhumane massacre on our grassland. We can no longer sit and wait for death. Quickly send out troops to aid and find those damned Great Xia soldiers to drive them off the grassland. Yes, Divine King, if we continue to wait here, all the tribes will be destroyed by the Great Xia dynasty. How did the Great Xia army evade our surveillance and precisely locate our tribe? We must find out this issue. Bader, that useless fool, was tasked with guarding Jade Dragon Pass, and not only did he lose his life, but there was also no report on the marching route of the Great Xia army. As a result, the Great Xia dynasty was able to march unimpeded on the prairie. He is guilty. The tribal chiefs sitting below were filled with righteous indignation. Their home base was attacked by the Great Xia dynasty, their tribesmen massacred. Anyone would be anxious. The 4 great Purple Mansion Dharma Kings remained expressionless, secretly glancing at the Divine King's expression. They saw Tai Muta's grim face, and their hearts couldn't help but skip a beat, knowing that the Divine King was truly enraged. Silence. Amidst the noise, Tai Mutu let out a cold snort, and an overwhelming pressure swept over the entire place like a tidal wave. The previously noisy environment instantly became as silent as a needle drop, and one by one, the chiefs closed their mouths, as no one dared to speak recklessly, fearing Tai Muta's brutality. They would certainly be mercilessly killed on the spot. Great Xia dynasty. Emperor Xing'an, I truly underestimated you. Tai Mutu muttered these words. His original plan was to have Bader obstruct the Great Xia dynasty army for several days and nights at Jade Dragon Pass, then feign defeat to lure the enemy deeper. As long as the main forces of the Great Xia army were lured onto the prairie, he could slowly devour them over time. Moreover, to target the great Emperor Xingyuan Sujie, he had prepared a Tao formation, ready to trap Sujie. However, the fall of Jade Dragon Pass and the defeat and death of 20,000 soldiers had derailed the lure strategy from the outset. The bait was swallowed in one gulp, and, free of concerns, the Great Xia army slaughtered on the prairie, putting the Divine Eagle Empire at a severe disadvantage. Could it be the 10,000 Dragon Pearl at work? Tai Mutu had a slight unease between his brows. The fall of Jade Dragon Pass was too sudden, leading him to consider the possibility that Sujie might have control of the 10,000 Dragon Pearl, the Dao treasure of Emperor Tianwu. Otherwise, he couldn't fathom how Sujie could breach Jade Dragon Pass so swiftly. Having lived through the era of Emperor Tianwu, Tai Mutu was well aware of the Emperor's terrifying prowess, capable of challenging 3 Emperor Dongshu at once and prevailing. The 10,000 Dragon Pearl left behind after his death deterred even the 9 Heavens Holy Land from venturing into the ancient continent. Tai Mutu was merely one of the candidates for the Saint Son of the Yang Palace Holy Land. Facing an existence like Emperor Tianwu that even a colossal entity like the 9 Heavens Holy Land feared, he felt a chill in his heart. During the era of Emperor Tianwu, he didn't dare show himself, hiding underground and feigning death. Now, finally waiting for the demise of Emperor Tianwu, with the dawn of a new era of great conflict, Tai Mutu saw the hope of achieving Emperor Dongshu. However, at this crucial juncture, Emperor Xingyuan Sujie emerged as a major threat. Indeed, to Tai Mutu, Sujie was the largest roadblock to achieving Emperor Dongshu, a colossal disaster. At the present moment, the core issue is not with the Great Xia army. We need to have them come to us, lure them into the Sunset Prairie, and into the great Taoist formation we've prepared. Under everyone's gaze, Tai Mutu slowly spoke. In Tai Muta's understanding, with Sujie now holding the 10,000 Dragon Pearl, he had no confidence left to win single-handedly. Tai Mutu could only pray that Sujie hadn't completely mastered the 10,000 Dragon Pearl, as it was the weapon of Emperor Tianwu. If Sujie couldn't fully wield its true power, there was still a chance of victory, relying on an army of 300,000 and the great Taoist formation. Divine King, I volunteer to lead a detachment against the Great Xia army, forcing them to consolidate their forces, and then lead them to the Sunset Prairie. A chief below spoke up with a suggestion. Though he was eager to return to aid his tribe, he knew that 30,000 cavalrymen scattering recklessly, each returning to their own homes, would only be picked off by the Great Xia army one by one. The only true path to victory was to solve the main forces of the Great Xia dynasty. Otherwise, it was akin to drinking poison to quench thirst. Eventually, they'd be forced into a corner by the Great Xia army. Other tribal chiefs also offered their ideas, realizing that this new Great Xia dynasty was different from any other nation they'd encountered. The slaughter, burning, and plundering far surpassed even the Divine Eagle Empire. At least when they descended upon the Central Plains, they would capture women and young slaves. The Great Xia dynasty left nothing but corpses scattered everywhere, even more savage than them. The thought of dealing with such a country in the future sent shivers down the spines of many tribal chiefs. If they didn't take this chance, while the Great Xia dynasty had just been established and wasn't yet stable, to eliminate them, in a few years when the Great Xia dynasty had grasped control of the entire country, with their strength soaring, and especially if Emperor Xingyuan achieved the true Emperor Dongshu, they would be in deep trouble. Given the current operating style of the Great Xia dynasty, their prairie would be left bloodied and 10 households would be reduced to 1, becoming history's fleeting shadow. Tai Muta's gaze swept over the 4 Dharma kings, and he slowly spoke. All 4 of you act together. Apply pressure on the Great Xia dynasty, but remember not to engage in prolonged battle. Just attract the Great Xia army. Due to the concerns over Sujie's strength, the 4 Purple Mansion experts acting together ensured that even if they couldn't defeat Sujie, they could at least retreat unharmed. Yes, Divine King, we will certainly lure the Great Xia army over. The 4 Dharma kings exchanged glances, their eyes filled with bloodlust. The Great Xia army slaughtered and destroyed their grassland tribes. To the erratic and brutal Purple Mansion Dharma kings, this was a great humiliation. They had made up their minds that once they found the Great Xia army, they would show them the true meaning of cruelty. Very well, this war is a battle of national destiny. The rise and fall of the empire depends on this fight. Whether we take over the Central Plains and enjoy that splendid world, or endure the harsh conditions on the grasslands, depends on all of you. Who's there? Tai Mutu raised his wine cup, just about to rally morale with an oath, when his expression suddenly changed slightly, as if he sensed something. A wild and domineering aura erupted from him, with golden sunlight spreading behind him, releasing infinite heat as if boiling the sea. Rumbling. Almost as soon as Tai Muta's aura was provoked, a ferocious and overwhelming force, like a tsunami, pressed forward. The 300,000 troops of the Divine Eagle Empire felt dizzy and disoriented, as if their chests were struck by a giant hammer weighing 10,000 pounds. Many even trembled all over, painfully kneeling to the ground. The military camp was thrown into chaos. The sound of an enemy attack echoed in the skies above the camp. In the area inside the tents, aside from Tai Mutu, the Divine King, the remaining 4 Purple Mansion Dharma kings breathed rapidly, their complexions slightly pale, their eyes full of horror. What kind of enemy was this, that merely their presence made their heartbeats drum? If the Purple Mansion Dharma kings were like this, those Taoist platform realm clan leaders, shamans, and totem warriors were even worse. Many sweated profusely, their faces pale as white paper, their eyes filled with unease and anxiety. Bang! With a single wave of his hand, Tai Mutu tore through the top of the royal tent, shooting into the sky. Then Tai Mutu saw the source of that dominating aura. In front of the military formation, a 1,000-handed centipede, over 3,000 meters long with thousands of pale corpse hands pressing down from above, was descending from the sky dome, appearing as vast as a mountain range. And atop the upper-grade 9 refinement 1,000-handed centipede's head, a man in a bright yellow dragon robe, wearing a crown, stood with his hands behind his back. His gaze, like 2 great stars hanging high, emitted the pressure that left the 300,000 troops pale-faced. Emperor Xingyuan, Su Jie. Tai Muta's eyes narrowed, needing no explanation. The identity of the person before him was clear. It was the founding emperor of the Great Xia dynasty, Emperor Xingyuan Su Jie, the true culprit behind the bloodshed on the grasslands. Everyone, prepare for battle. We will engage the Great Xia army here, and today let the Great Xia dynasty's army come and never return. Tai Mutu roared, believing that Su Jie was followed by 100,000 elite troops of the Great Xia dynasty, coming to engage their divine Eagle Empire in a decisive battle. It was absurd to think that Su Jie would come alone, facing their 300,000 troops directly. After saying this, Tai Mutu suddenly saw from several miles away a mocking expression appear on Su Jie's face. Heh, to annihilate you there's no need to deploy an entire army. I alone am enough. Su Jie's voice spread across the field, and the 300,000 cavalry of the Divine Eagle Empire, preparing for battle, were petrified, almost doubting their ears. The other clan leaders of the Taoist platform realm and the 4 great Purple Mansion Dharma kings were also dumbfounded, unable to believe it. Tai Mutu was momentarily stunned, extending his divine sense, yet saw not a single soldier behind Su Jie. Good heavens, the opponent actually intended to challenge their 300,000-strong force alone. In an instant, an uncontrollable burst of joy surged in Tai Mutu's heart. This fool, such a heavenly opportunity. As long as they eliminate Su Jie here, the Great Xia dynasty would be no longer a concern, becoming his possession. Once the Great Xia dynasty is conquered, he could achieve the title of Emperor Dongshu, and with that thought, Tai Mutu looked at Su Jie as if eyeing a delicious prey. The 300,000 troops of the Divine Eagle Empire roared with movement. Aside from their initial shock, an anger of being underestimated blazed fiercely within them. Although Su Jie's aura was indeed terrifying, they were, after all, 300,000 strong, with everyone possessing cultivation, not a mere ordinary army. The opponent coming all alone clearly showed his contempt for them. Seeking your own death, since you wish to die, I shall fulfill your wish. Tai Mutu's lips curled into a sinister smile, but he was not careless. Setting aside Su Jie's strength, there was still a Purple Mansion realm 1,000-handed centipede aiding him. If Su Jie managed to escape today, it would be impossible to find such a good opportunity again. Everyone, arrange into formations and activate the 4 Saints Extermination Immortal Array. Tai Mutu shouted, and spiritual power surged within the bodies of 300,000 cavalry, connecting with the earth vein of this sunset prairie. The Tao River was torn apart, and chaos chi flowed into the present world. The originally cloudless sky now had beams of starlight pillars descending from the distant void. Positioned within the formation, the powerful fierce beasts cultivated by the Divine Eagle Empire, whether the 100-meter-tall giants or the fierce birds with wingspans of several hundred meters, let out wails as their bodies were visibly enveloped in necrosis, their life force extracted to become sacrifices for the great Taoist formation. Each cavalryman of the Divine Eagle Empire contributed their strength. Individually insignificant, but collectively, 300,000 joined forces with formations already set upon the Sunset Prairie and its unique earth vein, finally forming a magnificent great Taoist formation, the 4 Saints Extermination Immortal Array. As the 4 Saints Extermination Immortal Array rapidly took shape, Tai Mutu charged towards Su Jie with 4 Purple Mansion Dharma Kings, followed by over 100 Taoist platform realm strongmen, determined to gang up on him. Don't blame me for using numbers to win, Blame your own stupidity. Tai Mutu was the first to rush forward, activating the Yang Flame Sky Burning technique, as golden flames ignited amidst his red hair. Then, with both palms pushing forward, a boundless sea of crimson flames ignited the sky as if intending to burn this realm into nothingness, surging toward Su Jie. Underneath the sea of flames, the earth was instantly scorched to barren soil, then turned to boiling magma, flowing fervently. Even Purple Mansion strongmen could only dodge. Everyone attack. While launching his attack, Tai Mutu didn't personally advance, instead instructing the 4 Dharma Kings and the group of Taoist platform chiefs to confront Su Jie. Wary of the possibility that Su Jie possessed the Tao treasure known as the 10,000 Dragon Pearl, the naturally cautious Tai Mutu preferred to let his subordinates test Su Jie's mettle. Kill, kill, kill. Slay the Emperor of Daxia. Achieve great deeds. Let this dog emperor witness the might of our prairie warriors. The 4 Dharma Kings didn't think too much. They believed their divine king was overly cautious. They thought the 4 of them could take down Su Jie without needing the great Taoist formation, wasting so many exotic beasts as offerings. The ignorant are fearless. Facing the siege of numerous strongmen, Su Jie's expression remained unchanged, as if watching a group of ants clamoring before him. It didn't bring any tension, but rather amusement. But fun aside, he still had to kill. Placing his hand on his belly, Su Jie's mouth swelled, and he suddenly spat out. Whoosh! A fierce, violent strong wind blew from Su Jie's mouth, forming a windstorm that reached the sky above the sky dome cloud layer. The initially surging sea of crimson flames, like water drawn by a dragon, was entirely absorbed by the windstorm, transforming into a more terrifying crimson flame windstorm, moving toward the invading divine Eagle Empire strongmen. Can't be real. Witnessing this scene, Tai Mutu's eyes nearly bulged out in disbelief. The attack he launched with the Yang Flame Sky Burning technique was effortlessly neutralized by Su Jie's breath. The disparity was evident to any observer, not to mention Tai Mutu, a top Purple Mansion realm strongman. Compared to Tai Mutu's shock, the 4 Dharma Kings and over 100 Taoist platform chiefs charging at Su Jie turned green with fear. A Purple Mansion Dharma King at the forefront couldn't dodge in time and was swallowed by the crimson flame windstorm. The intensely hot flames seared his flesh, while the strong wind, sharp like steel blades, continuously sliced through his physical body like a slow death by 1,000 cuts. His screams echoed as he held on for only 10 seconds before being sliced to pieces and roasted by the flames. Purple Mansion strongman thus fell. Seeing this, the remaining 3 Purple Mansion Dharma Kings turned pale, hastily retreating to evade the crimson flame windstorm. But the Taoist platform chiefs weren't so fortunate. Their strength was inferior to the Purple Mansion strongmen, with much poorer agility and survival capabilities. As the crimson flame windstorm moved in, many tried desperately to escape, but couldn't resist its terrifying pull, ultimately being sucked into the windstorm in despair. Except for a few Taoist platform chiefs on the fringes who managed to dodge, dozens of Taoist platform strongmen met their deaths. Given Su Jie's current level, most Purple Mansion cultivators couldn't withstand even one move, let alone those of the Taoist platform level. It's no exaggeration to say that a mere breath could kill them. The crimson flame windstorm swept ahead, leaving a swath of destruction thousands of meters wide until it plowed into the ranks of the 300,000 cavalry. Thousands of cavalry were devoured by the tornado, and the formation for the Great Taoist Formation turned chaotic. With just a casual strike from Su Jie, a Purple Mansion strongman died, dozens of Taoist platform cultivators perished, and tens of thousands of cavalry turned to ashes. Such a shocking destructive power left countless soldiers of the divine Eagle Empire stunned. The 3 Purple Mansion Dharma Kings retreated repeatedly, no longer daring to approach Su Jie. Tai Mutu, the divine king, also felt a tingling sensation on his scalp, because he realized he might have made a huge error in judgment. That is, when Jade Dragon Pass was breached, it might not have been caused by the 10,000 Dragon Pearl, but rather broken by this guy Su Jie himself. Just from that recent strike by Su Jie, it is entirely possible he could achieve that. This guy's power is even scarier than the Saint Heir. Beads of cold sweat rolled down Tai Muta's forehead. He had once been a candidate for the Saint Heir, knowing the terrors of the Holy Land Saint Sun. Yet the Su Jie before him was much more terrifying than any Saint Heir he knew. As the battlefield suddenly went silent, Su Jie twisted his neck and revealed a cruel grin. The carnage has just begun. Use all your means to please me, and I shall grant you eternal death. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Jie vanished from atop thousand-handed centipede, appearing behind a purple mansion Dharma King. This purple mansion Dharma King still didn't know what had happened, just felt a chill on the back of his neck, followed by his consciousness sinking into darkness. Su Jie twisted the purple mansion Dharma King's head from his neck and pulled it out, throwing the blood-dripping head at another purple mansion Dharma King. This purple mansion Dharma King wanted to evade, yet he couldn't match Su Jie's speed, and could only roar in anger as his arms were raised. The dead colleague's head struck his arms, twisting them with a muffled groan. Immediately, a large hand descended from the sky. Bam! Su Jie slammed the head of this purple mansion Dharma King into his chest cavity, his gaze turning to the last purple mansion Dharma King. Divine King, save me! This purple mansion Dharma King was so frightened he almost urinated, hastily calling for help from Tai Mutu. However, his plea received no response. Upon turning his head, he saw Tai Mutu running towards the cavalry camp like a lost dog, ignoring him completely. Your grassland warriors, it seems their courage isn't all that great. Su Jie's voice rose behind him, and amidst the sorrow and despair on the face of this purple mansion cultivator was a hint of dying courage, as he held a battle saber spiritual treasure and slashed towards Su Jie behind him. Yet, in the face of absolute strength, his resistance proved worthless. Su Jie didn't even blink, single-handedly grabbing hold of the incoming battle saber spiritual treasure. The highly tempered innate divine body withstood the blade without a scratch, not even breaking the skin. In the next moment, in the last purple mansion Dharma King's collapsed gaze, Su Jie reversed the grip, inserting the saber into his mouth and piercing through to the back of the skull. In the blink of an eye, the 4 purple mansion Dharma Kings successively perished at Su Jie's hands. These purple mansion strongmen who could dominate a territory on the ancient continent were slaughtered by Su Jie like dogs and chickens. Even though Su Jie's combat wasn't particularly flashy, relying solely on his absolute innate divine body to crush his opponents. This simple, straightforward combat style precisely highlighted the terrors of Su Jie's power, because with just a punch he could defeat enemies without needing other treasure techniques or items. Just like playing a game, facing opponents who crumble at a touch, there's no need to use complex skills or big moves when a straightforward normal attack suffices to swiftly and effectively kill them. On the other side, Thousand-Handed Centipede began its battle with those Taoist platform realm patriarchs, pale corpse hands darting across the sky dome, playing a cat-and-mouse game with those patriarchs. From time to time, a patriarch was crushed into flesh by the corpse hands, and their attacks landed on it without bothering Thousand-Handed Centipede, leaving those patriarchs feeling increasingly hopeless as the battle continued. Su Jie walked alone towards the army of the Divine Eagle Empire, his gaze like a torch fixed on Tai Mutu among the crowd. Quick! Activate the 4 Saints Extermination Array, and together kill this devil. Tai Mutu was too frightened by Su Jie's gaze, realizing Su Jie was unbeatable, and the person before him was even more terrifying than the Holy Son and Holy Daughter of the 5 Great Holy Lands, giving him an illusion that he was facing Emperor Dongshu. Boom! 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 Finally, the 300,000 Knights of the Divine Eagle Empire fully activated the 4 Saints Extermination Array, dazzling starlight on the sky dome forming the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Xuanwu for mythical holy beasts. Each holy beast was of a size exceeding 10,000 meters, toweringly surpassing mountains, exuding a world-annihilating terrifying pressure. Tai Mutu breathed a sigh of relief, recognizing the great Taoist formation as a manifestation of great Tao power, its power always dreadful. Moreover, the 4 Symbols Extermination Array was formed by 300,000 troops, its power even more terrifying. Roar! Blare! Screech! Moo! The White Tiger roared, the Azure Dragon issued bursts of its sound. The Phoenix spread its wings, Xuanwu held the sky. The four holy beasts roared angrily, carrying the breath of destruction intended to annihilate all life as they charged towards Su Jie. So these are your trump cards, huh? Su Jie sneered in contempt, throwing out the 9-grade sacred lotus with his left hand, and holding the holy Bodhi tree along with the mixed element divine sky bamboo, 3 mature innate spiritual objects. As soon as they were extracted, the originally fierce 4 holy beasts immediately wailed. The holy Bodhi tree's 10,000 branches swayed, binding the holy beasts formed from the great Taoist formation. The mixed element divine sky bamboo, snatched from the hand of the 9 heaven saint sun, erupted with innate Tao thunder that spread along the branches of the holy Bodhi tree, reaching the 4 holy beasts and causing their bodies to disintegrate. The 9-grade sacred lotus transformed into a gigantic covering lotus leaf, descending to suppress and directly wipe out the 4 holy beasts into oblivion. Su Jie used the simplest method to directly deal with the greatest reliance of the Divine Eagle Empire. And Su Jie himself had already plunged into the army of the Divine Eagle Empire. It seemed that with each punch and kick, countless ancient divine elephants exerted themselves, his vital force soaring skywards, his divine body shaking the world. Boom! With one punch thrown, a large basin appeared on the sunset prairie. Tens of thousands of Divine Eagle Empire knights turned into meat patties, mixed with compressed soil, gravel, and magma erupting from underground, potentially forming strange fossils that puzzled future generations once the magma solidified. Bam! One kick sent out. A canyon extending dozens of kilometers was embedded into the prairie. Countless knights of the Divine Eagle Empire who failed to escape being slain, as their blood and flesh blended into the underground river water, dyeing the springs emerging from underground a blood-red hue. Su Jie was like a walking catastrophe, with every punch and kick becoming a cosmic disaster for the knights of the Divine Eagle Empire. Regardless of whether they were Yunling Realm cavalrymen, Secret Realm Kiliarchs, or Taoist Platform Realm 10,000 captains, these soldiers had no difference under Su Jie's attack, all mere fodder to be slapped to death, for any enemy within his attack range had no path but destruction. The morale of the Divine Eagle Empire army completely shattered. The so-called 300,000 army, in the face of a strongman like Su Jie, was like humans crushing ants. No, even simpler than that. At least ants could bite and make human skin itch, but to Su Jie, they couldn't even dream of harming him, merely subject to an indiscriminate massacre, unable to flee either, unable to achieve what even the 9 heavens saint sun couldn't. Following a brief battle lasting less than half a minute, the Divine Eagle Empire's supposedly invincible 300,000 cavalry force was reduced to indistinguishable limbs and broken bodies, their sole purpose to serve as a warm-up for Su Jie to stretch his fists and legs. At last, standing amidst a battlefield strewn with corpses, Su Jie alone stood within a rewritten landscape of ravines and basins, watching the far-off fleeing Tai Mutu, casually wiping his brow. The Tao River opened behind him, as the mountain-like Chaos Dharma form materialized. A swirling solitary eye aimed squarely at the escaping Tai Mutu. With a flash of brilliance, a holy and dazzling light beam as beautiful as an aurora yet wrapped with astonishing menace slammed into Tai Mutu, sending him crashing from the sky like a bird with broken wings, creating a crater of 10,000 meters in diameter. In the center of the giant pit, Tai Mutu's skin was torn and bleeding profusely, with golden blood dripping down, due to the cultivation of the Yang Flame Sky Burning technique. His blood carried fiery characteristics, making the surrounding area a flowing magma. Difficultly rising from the underground, Tai Mutu looked at Su Jie walking towards him, his eyes full of reluctance and fear. Is this all the Divine King of the Divine Eagle Empire can do? Su Jie's steps were unhurried, with a cold curve at the corner of his mouth. As soon as the words fell, Su Jie suddenly appeared in front of Tai Mutu, delivering a plain, powerful slash of Huashan, using his hand as a knife. Crack! Tai Mutu tried to resist, but suddenly felt a huge force, like 10,000 mountains pressing down simultaneously. His arm that tried to block emitted a crisp sound of bone cracking, and he was forced to kneel on one knee by Su Jie. Damn it! Don't push me. Tai Mutu's eyes were fierce, as if he wanted to devour someone. What? Still have a trump card? Su Jie raised an eyebrow, and slapped Tai Mutu as if scolding a child. Tai Mutu's face instantly swelled, and a few broken teeth flew out. Roar! Tai Mutu was furious, his blood boiling and burning. Igniting the red flame holy fire with his own blood, flames surged through the sky, burning everything. This is a life-risking secret technique of the Yang Palace Holy Land, called the blood-burning holy technique. Using one's own blood as fuel to ignite the body's holy fire, greatly enhancing combat power. The downside is that this secret technique consumes body blood, causing a tremendous burden and depletion, damaging the body's essence, leading to severe aftereffects. Mild cases might have meridians and acupuncture points collapse, cultivation declines. Severe cases might lead to paralysis or decay. Even unexpected death is possible. Not truly wanting to risk everything, Tai Mutu didn't wish to use this secret technique. Tai Mutu's eyes were fierce and violent. His body erupted with a round of red flame golden light. The high-temperature flames distorted the void continuously. A chirping sound was heard from the flames. The next moment, Tai Mutu punched forward. The blazing golden light transformed into a three-legged golden crow, enveloping his entire body. The flame's power surged. Mountains and rivers were burned and melted into streams of magma, gathering into lakes of magma, like the revival of the ancient three-legged golden crow. You think turning into a bird means I won't hit you? Su Jie chuckled softly. His 5 fingers suddenly clenched, and the mixed element divine sky bamboo appeared in his palm. Su Jie grabbed the mixed element divine sky clan, directly smashing it at Tai Mutu's head, choosing to confront directly without dodging. What shocked Tai Mutu was that his transformed three-legged golden crow, carrying flames that could burn the sky and boil the sea, merely made Su Jie's skin slightly red, with no real effect on him. Impossible. It's impossible. Not even the Holy Land Saint's son could withstand such an attack unscathed. Tai Mutu was in despair. After executing the blood-burning holy technique, his strength could rival the Holy Land Saint's son. In Tai Mutu's view, he might not defeat Su Jie, but could at least use the red flame's high temperature to temporarily force Su Jie back, creating an opportunity to escape. But the discrepancy in reality was unexpected. Despite using his trump card, he couldn't even injure Su Jie. In Tai Mutu's shock, the mixed element divine sky bamboo smashed on his head, causing blood to spurt from his 7 orifices. Innate Dao thunder crackled and shot out, paralyzing Tai Mutu, stripping him of resistance. Too weak. How dare you provoke my great Xia dynasty? Su Jie slightly retracted his left foot and kicked Tai Mutu fiercely on the chest. The ground sank and collapsed continuously. An earthquake shook the surrounding area. Tai Mutu rolled like a skipping stone across the grassland, his organs displacing, ribs fracturing, piercing into his internal organs, vomiting blood from mouth and nose. Surrender. I surrender, Emperor Xingyuan. I'm willing to submit to you. Looking at Su Jie approaching again, Tai Mutu's eyes no longer held arrogance or violence, only fear, feeling that all his power was like a joke before Su Jie. Su Jie remained unmoved, slowly raising the mixed element divine sky bamboo. Tai Mutu shivered, desperately plunged his hand into his left chest, forcibly pulling out his heart. Holding the still-beating heart in his hands before Su Jie, his face was pale, humbly saying, I was blind and shouldn't have crossed the border provocatively. I am willing to pay the price for my wrong decision, to serve the great emperor for life. Swearing with heart represents the most sincere and credible oath on the grassland. Su Jie didn't even glance at the beating heart, only sneered coldly. Knowing you're wrong means you should know. I don't like leaving future trouble. Tai Mutu's face changed dramatically, desperately saying, I'm useful. I will bind all the tribes of the grassland for the great emperor. I will be loyal before the king, assist you in managing and governing all forces, to aid the great Xia dynasty. Otherwise, upon my death, the divine Eagle Empire would fall into chaos. Without someone to bind them, the tribes will resist your rule. In Tai Mutu's view, for the great Xia dynasty to smoothly take over the divine Eagle Empire and its nomadic tribes, his assistance was indispensable. He was the common lord of the divine Eagle Empire, with influence and prestige permeating every aspect. Without his binding with the rebellious nature of the grassland tribes, they would never willingly submit to the great Xia dynasty, formerly a weakling subject to plunder, leading to inevitable rebellions. As long as the great Xia dynasty wants to solidify its rule over the grassland, Tai Mutu can help achieve that, provided he survives. You've misunderstood something. I don't need to rule over the Divine Eagle Empire, nor do I need any stability or grand strategy. As for the rebellion of those nomadic tribes you mentioned, Su Jie squatted down, reached out and patted Tai Muta's face. In the man's vacant gaze, he slowly added, "The dead don't rebel. Since these grassland nomadic tribes are defiant and unruly, they have no reason to exist. All I want is this land, to keep the land, not the people, as civilians can be migrated later for development." Upon hearing Su Jie's statement, Tai Mutu's pupils contracted. Despite his own vicious nature, he had never imagined something so insane. Exterminating an entire country. The Divine Eagle Empire was no small nation, being the second-largest country on the ancient continent after the Delhi dynasty. The population living on the grasslands was enormous, yet Su Jie spoke of keeping the land but not the people. This was sheer madness. You're a madman. Tai Muta's lips quivered, the only path to survival denied by Su Jie. His mindset shattered. When you ventured south to plunder, you should have anticipated this day. When invaders go, I can go too. Su Jie's expression showed little emotional fluctuation throughout, unwilling to accept his rule, and fond of rebelling and disturbing the order of his dynasty. Then there's no reason to exist. Time to be on your way. With a hand brushing across the mixed element divine sky bamboo, Su Jie had already decided Tai Mutu's fate. The Divine Eagle Empire would become a thing of the past, rendering his role as Divine King useless. No. I am a candidate saint heir of the Yang Palace Holy Land. You cannot kill me. Tai Mutu was truly afraid, terrified of the approaching death, trying to use the Yang Palace Holy Land to intimidate Su Jie. A pitiful creature who fled the Yang Palace Holy Land for thousands of years without daring to return, dare to brandish its name? Don't say you're a candidate. I've killed actual saint heirs before, so peacefully move on. Shortly your people will join you. Su Jie sneered, grabbed the mixed element divine sky bamboo, and smashed it onto Tai Muta's head in his despair. Bang! Tai Muta's head burst open like a rotten watermelon, red and white spraying everywhere, and the soul just escaping was absorbed by Su Jie into the 10,000 soul banner. The battlefield around was scanned again by Su Jie, who used the 10,000 soul banner to absorb the souls of the corpses one by one, increasing the quantity of souls in the banner. At this moment, the earth trembled from afar, as several troops of the great Xia dynasty arrived, witnessing the lifeless sunset prairie. It was all his doing. Wei Yushuang gasped. 30,000 Divine Eagle Empire knights were dead here, with resentment reaching the sky, death aura and murderous intent spreading, mountains of broken corpses, shattered terrain and earth veins all telling the story of the brutal battle that occurred. And on the scene stood only Su Jie alone, including the powerful figures from the Divine Eagle Empire, like the 4 great Purple Mansion Kings and Divine King Tai Mutu, all turned into lifeless corpses. Thus, it represented that Su Jie alone exterminated the 30,000 elite troops of the Divine Eagle Empire. Even if it wasn't the first time experiencing Su Jie's might, Wei Yushuang was shocked. The more she encountered Su Jie, the more she realized his unfathomable strength. His power, he can definitely achieve this. Qin Yushang nodded. They originally followed the Great Xia dynasty's main forces to the Sunset Prairie, initially expecting a fierce battle. Upon arrival, they found the battle over and 30,000 Divine Eagle Empire cavalry corpses remaining. Clearly only in the Purple Mansion realm, yet capable of single-handedly defeating 30,000 troops, if he achieves the Cave Void realm. Wei Yushuang couldn't help but think about how immense Su Jie's strength would be if he became Emperor Dongshu. In the Purple Mansion realm, he had achieved invincible-like feats, extinct esoteric Buddhism, slaughtered exotic Purple Mansion cultivators like dogs, crushed the 9 Heavens Saint Sun, defeated Emperor Donghuang's clone, and now single-handedly crushed an army, creating one terrifying achievement after another. Such feats would be worth bragging about for a lifetime, enough to be a top-tier powerhouse in the Purple Mansion realm. He likely will be stronger than Grand Ancestor when he advances to the Crossing Realm. Wei Yushuang murmured, having a blasphemous thought. Grand Ancestor Emperor Tianwu was celebrated as the first Emperor Dongshu in 1,000,000 years. If not for his early demise, achieving the Crossing Realm was destined. Though Grand Ancestor's achievements were impressive in youth, they somewhat lagged behind the current man before her. As Wei Yushuang's thoughts ran wild, Su Jie already approached and instructed Zhang Junwei. With the Divine Eagle Empire's main forces depleted in this battle, you lead the Great Xia Dynasty's army to execute previous operations on the grassland, cleansing the nomadic tribes for subsequent civilian migration and settlement. Zhang Junwei was momentarily stunned, then cupped his hands. "I comply." Other generals gasped, and someone asked, "Your Majesty, should we continue killing? These DE do not submit to royal authority. Only massacring them is the path. I don't want frequent news of uprisings and conflicts here in the future. A decisive solution is best." Su Jie pronounced the end for the nomadic tribes on the vast grasslands. Coincidentally, the 10,000 soul banner needed more souls to advance into the 10 million soul banner, and with the Divine Eagle Empire provoking, Su Jie would not let it go. How malicious has this man's soul become? Looking at Su Jie, Wei Yushuang knew his orders would lead to countless bloody storms across these grasslands, involving tens of millions, even close to billion lives. Qin Yushang was silent for a few seconds, then suddenly said, "A great virtue." Wei Yushuang was astonished, turning to Qin Yushang. Without looking at Wei Yushuang, Qin Yushang's eyes were fixed on Su Jie in the distance, glowing brightly. "Honestly, when the Divine Eagle Empire crossed borders and invaded, I thought he would choose to tolerate it. After all, remaining stable for a few years would securely ascend to Emperor Dongshu. Most people would make such a choice, sacrificing some people's casualties, which compared to the weight of Emperor Dongshu, seems inconsequential to many. Yet he did this, choosing to wage war with the Divine Eagle Empire. He could have chosen to turn a blind eye, enjoy prosperity, indifferent to the plight of Northern Territory civilians. But instead, his eyes were filled with compassion and kindness. He empathized with the lower class. This is the noblest soul. Qin Yushang expressed this, observing Su Jie's towering figure. Others saw Su Jie as a notorious executioner, razing cities and annihilating countries, yet orphaned as a child, having experienced the world's warmth and bitterness. Qin Yushang saw universal love in Su Jie. "Yushang, could it be you're infatuated with him? Speaking like this, be careful, don't fall for it, he's not a good person after all." Wei Yushuang glanced at Qin Yushang, seeing Su Jie's image filled in her eyes, appearing as a fangirl. Qin Yushang's pretty face was tinged with blush. Dissatisfied with Wei Yushuang's comments, she retorted, "What I said. If it's the Dali dynasty, they wouldn't directly wage a war to destroy the Divine Eagle Empire, risking everything for those suffering civilians. How's that emperor not a good person?" Wei Yushuang was speechless and stumped. "That's why I say he's a good person. Their enemy is my hero." Qin Yushang's voice was firm, feeling she understood Su Jie's philosophy at this moment, believing he was the emperor worthy of her allegiance. With the main force of the Divine Eagle Empire annihilated, the army of the Great Xia Dynasty continued their cleansing operations across the grasslands. The army swept through like an autumn wind, scattering fallen leaves, clearing out the small and large tribes on the grasslands. Most of these tribes' main fighting forces had joined the Divine Eagle Empire, leaving behind mostly the elderly, women, and children, powerless to stop the mechanized units and senior cultivators of the Great Xia Dynasty. For a time, the entire grassland was engulfed in a bloody storm, the cries of countless grassland herders echoing through the heavens and earth, innumerable men becoming wrongful souls beneath the butcher's knife, while compliant women were unified under the Great Xia Dynasty. These women, if willing to submit to the Great Xia Dynasty, would be allocated to the dynasty's bachelors. During times of natural disasters and calamities, young men are the most likely to survive, while the survival rate of the elderly, women, and children is relatively low. Due to years of natural disasters and calamities, the Great Xia dynasty faced a significant surplus of young male laborers domestically. Just as the Great Xia dynasty needed to revive from destruction, it required these bachelors to settle down swiftly. Regardless of the era, ensuring the populace has homes, land, and families is the unerring rule for national stability. The Great Xia dynasty followed this strategy, distributing lands seized from various aristocratic families to the people for cultivation, helping them relocate into new homes. Now the dynasty even provides wives for free. Though they are grassland maidens from the north, these bachelors are not picky. Having a woman is fortunate enough, why disdain? Simultaneously, as the Great Xia dynasty continued to advance on the grasslands, large swaths of land and pasture were naturally vacated. To establish families, these bachelors eagerly traveled north to settle on the grasslands, preparing to embark on livestock breeding in the future. Conversely, the grassland men were not as fortunate, as the Great Xia dynasty had no need for these stubborn dissenters. For the continuation of future dynasties and descendants, the Great Xia dynasty left no potential troubles, continuing to execute merciless exterminations. This action benefited the present and had long-standing effects, ensuring that marauding cavalry from the grasslands would never again raid southwards. It can be said that the entire process of subduing the grasslands by the Great Xia dynasty was filled with violence and bloodshed, also providing abundant reserves for the soul-summoning banner. Those grassland tribes that had long trodden the iron heel on the Central Plains dynasty are now paying the price for their past actions. They used their death and destruction to testify to the strength of the newly born Great Xia dynasty. Its unmatched military prowess shocked and stunned all the nations on the ancient continent. Dali City. When Su Jie led a portion of the army back to court, Dali City was as empty as a sea of people. Countless citizens flooded the streets, lining up to welcome them, cheering joyfully for the army and their emperor. When Su Jie ordered the display of the corpses of the Divine Eagle Empire's chieftains, Dharma kings, and divine kings in a street parade, it aroused a collective cheer from the crowd. Victory! 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 The cheers rose wave after wave, as most of these citizens had suffered under the Divine Eagle Empire, not to mention those who fled from the Northern Territory, who had lost their homes and lands due to the Empire's raids. Even the local citizens of Delhi City gritted their teeth against the Divine Eagle Empire. Because every time the Divine Eagle Empire raided southward, it led to a spike in domestic grain prices, causing rage from the loss of tangible benefits, leaving people throughout the world with no affinity for the Divine Eagle Empire. As the Emperor Xingyuan who pacified the Divine Eagle Empire, his achievement in annihilating 300,000 troops made Su Jie's adulation and belief among Dali's citizens rapidly ascend. Feeling that Su Jie was the sun of this world, whose benevolent radiance shone on countless people, protecting infinite citizens. After the triumphal street parade, Su Jie returned to the food hall in the imperial palace to convene a court meeting. The attending officials naturally engaged in a spree of flattery, extolling Su Jie with praises of wisdom and martial prowess, territorial expansion, virtues exceeding the 3 emperors, and achievements overshadowing the 5 emperors. Your Majesty, this subject has words to say. Zhang Qingcong, the former director of the Heavenly Patrol Department, now the deputy director, stepped forward and declared clearly, I believe that the current dynasty is newly established and amidst reconstruction. In order to ensure the peace of the world, please consider the matters of the harem, establish an empress, recruit concubines, and birth heirs, as this is the way to stabilize the dynasty and ensure its longevity. Once these words were spoken, the scene fell silent. The officials did not expect Zhang Qingcong to propose this at such a time. But after a moment's thought, considering Su Jie as an emperor of a nation who had yet to establish a formal empress, and had neither a harem nor royal offspring, it was indeed uncommon. Many old ministers from the Ghost Ridge Palace who fought alongside Su Jie at this time stepped forth, such as Taoist Chiu, a former supreme elder of Ghost Ridge Palace, now serving as Minister of Revenue, who said, I believe what Master Zhang says is very true. Your Majesty must indeed consider the affairs of the harem for the peace of the world. For these individuals who had accomplished the founding alongside Su Jie, They probably desired more than Su Jie for the dynasty to be stable for a millennia, so they might continue enjoying wealth and honor, which is human nature. Though Emperor Dongshu's lifespan spans tens of thousands of years, one can never be assured against accidents. Even the mighty Emperor Tianwu died young. Thus, if this great Emperor Su Jie could leave behind heirs, even if an accident occurred, it wouldn't lead to a lack of successors, causing the government to collapse, chaos to break out, and smoke to rise across the land. They could back a new emperor to ensure the throne is passed down. This is also the reason why throughout history, the emperor's family matters are also the affairs of the state, with the birth of princes and princesses, the establishment of the empress and the crown prince, always attracting nationwide attention. Su Jie narrowed his eyes, instantly understanding the thoughts of these officials. They were afraid that if something happened to him, the prosperity they were enjoying from following the dragon would vanish into thin air. I advise, promote the virtuous without avoiding kin. The current Director Qin of the Heavenly Patrol Department is knowledgeable and courteous, with a beauty that shames the moon and flowers, and her cultivation unparalleled in the Purple Mansion. She would be a fine match for your majesty. Zhang Qingcang spoke again, recommending his disciple Qin Yushang. The civil and military officials present all stared wide-eyed, thinking to themselves, "Oh Zhang Qingcang, so this is your plan, wanting to become part of the royal family." Qin Yushang, who was present as the subject of the matter, blushed upon hearing Zhang Qingcang's words, her ears turning deep red. "Disciple as your master, this is all I can do for you." Zhang Qingcang glanced at Qin Yushang, thinking silently. Having raised Qin Yushang from a young age, and being both a teacher and father figure to her, he had long noticed Qin Yushang had feelings for Su Jie. He did this not to become a member of the royal family, but sincerely hoping Qin Yushang would find a good marriage. As for Su Jie, whether personal strength or character, though originating from the demon path, this does not obscure that he is indeed a good emperor. Entrusting Qin Yushang to him, Zhang Qingcang had no worries. Su Jie's gaze shifted to Qin Yushang. Seeing her embarrassment and shyness, he couldn't help but chuckle softly, saying, "Qin Aiqing, what do you think?" Qin Yushang felt her whole face burning. Although she was the head of the violent agency, the Heavenly Patrol Department, having experienced countless battles, she found herself at a loss at this moment like a little girl. I. Qin Yushang was in chaos. She did have feelings for Su Jie, but speaking such things in front of everyone made her feel very shy. It seems Qin Aiqing agrees. Find a suitable date later to take her as a concubine. As for the matter of choosing an empress, I shall decide. Su Jie made the decision for Qin Yushang as a dignified emperor of the Great Xia. What nonsense would it be not to take a few concubines? He fought life and death for this country. Why shouldn't he enjoy himself? I dare to offer my advice. My family's young daughter is in waiting, gentle and virtuous. Seeing Zhang Qingcang's success in climbing high branches, other officials were also tempted, stepping forward to join the royal family. There's no need to say more. My choice of concubines is mine alone. Today's court meeting ends here. Dismissed. Su Jie interrupted these officials' recommendations. He wouldn't accept just anyone. With Su Jie's powerful status, did he need to wait till now for women? Even back in Chan country when building his career, he could have arranged it. Being a groom every night was just a word, not to mention now. Though Su Jie was also greedy for wealth and women, he understood to control his desires. That is the mark of a true demon cultivator. After the court meeting ended, the other officials left. Only Qin Yushang stayed behind. In the empty food hall, only Su Jie and Qin Yushang were left. In their exchange of glances, Qin Yushang instinctively avoided his gaze, not daring to look directly at Su Jie. What, am I that scary? Su Jie got up from the dragon throne, stepping towards Qin Yushang. Or is it that, Yushang, you don't want to marry me? The address changed from Qin Aiqing to Yushang, indicating Su Jie's attitude. No, not at all. Qin Yushang's pretty face was flushed, and for the first time, she looked up to meet Su Jie's eyes, the tension and shyness creating a stark contrast to her usually strong and proud demeanor, which stirred Su Jie's impulse. In the next moment, Qin Yushang's body softened, her red lips sealed, her waist embraced by a powerful pair of hands, only able to respond clumsily. For a long while, their lips parted. Qin Yushang leaned softly against Su Jie, assuming the demeanor of a demure woman, with a lingering blush on her face. Su Jie lifted Qin Yushang's delicate chin, gazing at her exquisite beauty. From now on, stay by my side. Mm. Qin Yushang softly murmured, knowing that Su Jie had more than one woman, yet she still chose to stay. Moments later, Qin Yushang looked up resolutely at Su Jie. Did you marry me just to stabilize the court? She understood her position at the Heavenly Patrol Department was important. Most of the Heavenly Patrol Department consisted of people from the former Dali dynasty, and if marrying her was to stabilize this crucial agency and the court, although Qin Yushang understood the bigger picture, but while Qin Yushang was lost in thought, Su Jie pinched her delicate, lovely face, assertively speaking, "What, in your eyes, do I need to rely on women to govern the country? Who has more wealth than me, more power than me, or strength greater than mine? When I choose a woman, I never care how high her status is, because none of them are higher than mine." Qin Yushang's heart jolted, warmth swept her soul, realizing she had overcomplicated matters. With Su Jie's status, he didn't need to rely on anyone to stabilize his rule. Su Jie's unmatched power across the world, as long as he's alive, ensures the everlasting stability of the great Xia dynasty. I marry you purely because I like you. Don't underestimate yourself. You are one of the 3 great beauties of the dynasty. Su Jie smiled amiably, causing Qin Yushang to blush deeply, her affection for Su Jie growing even stronger in her heart. At this moment, in Qin Yushang's mind, she had already considered Su Jie as her one and only husband for life. The news of Emperor Su Jie marrying Qin Yushang spread rapidly like the wind. The romantic affairs of the emperor have always been a favorite topic of gossip among the people, particularly since the protagonists were none other than the newly established Great Xia Dynasty's Emperor Xingyuan, who expanded its territories and wielded power over the world, and Qin Yushang, one of the 3 great beauties, a purple mansion cultivator, and director of the Heavenly Patrol Department. Their union naturally became a topic relished by the citizens. However, not everyone was pleased about the marriage. In a luxurious garden in Li City, Ning Xinyue felt her world collapsing upon hearing the news, gritting her teeth, her eyes red. Why, that bastard Su Jie. Clearly I just arrived. How could he do this? No, I need to go to the Imperial Palace and settle this with him. The more Ning Xinyue spoke, the more aggrieved she felt, like a wronged little cat. It's your own fault for not being competitive. An emperor marrying concubines isn't unusual, right? Now that the position of empress is vacant, if you have the capability, become the empress, and I'll support you. Ning Yunying, sipping tea leisurely beside her, suggested to Ning Xinyue. Eh? Ning Xinyue blinked, momentarily tempted, but soon thought of something, shaking her head like a wilted eggplant. No, I can't do it. Ning Xinyue expressed her inability in a dejected manner. Ning Yunying put down her teacup and asked, "Don't you like Su Jie? If you like him, pursue it boldly. Su Jie's ghost bride is so fierce. I can't beat her." Ning Xinyue looked dejected, having dealt with Han Ruyan and knowing her scariness. Ning Yunying was speechless. Her sister was the typical weak player who loved to participate. Ah, that bastard Su Jie. I'm really angry. I'm ignoring him. Ning Xinyue puffed her cheeks, as if the rock garden in front of her was Su Jie, giving it a beating. Ning Yunying rolled her eyes, teasing, "All right, you're going to tear the place apart. If you want to make a fuss, go find Su Jie. His palace is big. Tear it apart as you please." "I'll go then, you think I dare not?" Ning Xinyue puffed her cheeks, but her steps didn't move an inch. Ning Yunying shook her head, knowing that her sister chickened out again. She only spoke bravely, looked like she dared to love and hate, but when it came to real confrontation, she was terribly timid. Equally embroiled in chaos due to Su Jie's concubine affair was another woman. In a large mansion on the south side of Dili City, originally owned by a dignitary who was later arrested by the Great Xia dynasty due to a levy affair, the entire family either died or was imprisoned. leaving the mansion vacant. Now, this vacant mansion has a new owner, with hundreds residing here holding an illustrious status, that of the Delhi royal family, the Wei clan. These former rulers of the dynasty have now been relocated out of the imperial palace and accommodated within this mansion. Among the hundreds, besides the direct bloodline of the royal family, were princes, princesses, and concubines, along with some clan relatives totaling hundreds. However, the Wei royal family has long lost their noble status. Their position is inferior even to ordinary officials. The royal family's wealth was entirely confiscated by the Great Xia dynasty. Their survival, without being slaughtered, was a special mercy from the Great Xia dynasty, due to Su Jie's consideration of Emperor Tianwu's bloodline, sparing their lives. As for wealth, that would be unreasonable to consider. Moreover, due to their past royal status, they cannot live like ordinary people. Attempts to mingle with dignitaries and commerce result in exclusion and wariness, facing resistance from the new dignitaries of Delhi city. No one knows if getting too close to the Wei royal family would arouse Su Jie's suspicion, leading to imprisonment. These Wei royals are prideful, unwilling to engage in ordinary work. With no source of wealth, their living conditions have severely declined, worsening day by day. If it weren't for Wei Yushuang, the Purple Mansion strongman, these royals would have disbanded long ago. Even so, now the unity among the Wei royal family is no longer intact. At this moment, the news of Su Jie taking Qin Yushang as a concubine reached here. Some individuals from the Wei royal family had thoughts, then convened a clan gathering. Main opinions were in the mansion's hall, where the Wei clan members gathered, including former princes, princesses, concubines, and princes' daughters, filling the place. Leading the meeting were, naturally, Wei Yushuang, the young pillar of the Wei clan, alongside Empress Xiao, and some esteemed elders of the Wei clan. However, shortly after the meeting began, Wei Yushuang's face turned cold. As she scanned the people around, her gaze as sharp as daggers. To suggest I marry Su Jie, how can you say such a thing? Wei Yushuang slammed the table, outraged by some clan members proposing the ridiculous suggestion of her marrying Su Jie. Yushuang, I know this is hard for you, but this is our only way to break the predicament. You've seen how we live now. If Qin Yushang can marry Su Jie as a concubine, you, the apple of Delhi dynasty's eye, with your appearance, cultivation, and manner, aren't inferior to her in any aspect. You deserve to be empress of the Great Xia dynasty. A middle-aged man stood up. His name was Wei Tu, younger brother to Emperor Wei Chang, and Wei Yushuang's uncle. He looked at Wei Yushuang, frosty-faced, like a nurturing elder, convincing like it was for everyone's good. Su Jie caused my father's death. Are you aware of what you're suggesting? Asking me to marry him? Wei Yushuang clenched her palm. If it weren't for this being her siblings and elders, she'd have drawn her sword at the reckless talk. Of course we know that, but an endless cycle of revenge leads nowhere. We've lost and must accept it. This world now belongs to Su Jie. We lack the means to reclaim it. Yet, if Su Jie were willing to marry you, crown you Empress of Great Xia, our Wei clan's bloodline would enter the royal family once more. If you bore Su Jie a prince, and he inherits the throne, wouldn't it mean we never truly lost? Wei Tu eloquently detailed his plan, swaying many Wei clan members present. They were all in agreement. Only Wei Yushuang was left in the dark. Yushuang, it's not only my idea, but everyone's heartfelt wish. Wei Tu saw Wei Yushuang's lack of response, rallied the clan present to join the persuasion. Sister, uncle is right. With your beauty and strength, be proactive. Once you become empress, everyone will benefit. Your Highness, I understand your sorrow for the emperor, but people must look forward. We can't dwell in the past. Hundreds of Wei's patriarch rely on you. Yushuang, Aunt must admonish you a bit. Prioritize the bigger picture. Don't be selfish. Su Jie is now Emperor of Great Xia, destined to be Emperor Dongshu. Marrying him won't be a grievance. Many women wish for such an opportunity. In an instant, Wei Yushuang's half-siblings, concubines, uncles and aunts spoke to persuade Wei Yushuang, completely siding with Wei Tu. These royals, accustomed to lavish living, now in such dire situations, unwilling to live simple lives, remaining adamant on seeking chances to rise anew in upper society. As long as Wei Yushuang can become the Empress of Xia, they can transform from remnants of the previous dynasty to members of the royal family, regaining a life of luxury. For the Wei family members who can't endure hardship, marrying Wei Yushuang to Su Jie is the unanimous decision they came up with. It's also their only way they believe to turn the tide and restore a life of extravagant wealth and overwhelming power. Wei Yushuang's face grew colder. She naturally knew what the family members present were thinking and involuntarily glanced at her mother, Empress Xiao. Empress Xiao sighed, "Shuang'er, I respect your choice, but I want to say, you have always been my pride. Never wrong yourself." Seeing this, Wei too became anxious and continued to persuade, "Yushuang, even if you don't consider everyone, you must think for yourself. I believe you've already felt that the cultivation of the dragon-suppressing heavenly net divine scripture relies on the dynasty's fortune. Nowadays, the world belongs to Xia. Li's imperial fortune is crumbling. Not only does our cultivation not advance, but it's diminishing daily, and the spiritual power within is increasingly chaotic. Your cultivation is retreating as well. Without the crucial imperial fortune, it is uncertain if it will drop to Dao platform cultivation. Would you truly be willing to let all your hard work since childhood vanish into nothingness? On the contrary, if you marry Su Jie, you would receive the blessing of the Xia dynasty fortune. Your cultivation not only won't decline, it might even advance further. You should not be stubborn." Wei too grew increasingly agitated as he spoke, appearing to be solely considering Wei Yushuang. Wei Yushuang remained silent. Although Wei too was driven by the prospect of future riches, his words were not wrong. Her cultivation has stalled recently, not advancing but slowly retreating. The Wei family practiced with the imperial dynasty fortune, possessing combat power far exceeding cultivators of the same level. But they also bore the flaws of the dragon-suppressing heavenly net divine scripture cultivation technique. Of course, many didn't regard this as a flaw because once a dynasty falls, members of the royal family generally face purges with few surviving. Losing life itself negates the worry of cultivation decline. Yet, precisely because these members of the Wei royal family still live, they acutely feel the fear of cultivation regression. Seeing Wei Yushuang silent, Wei too thought his persuasion was working, believing that someone as gifted as Wei Yushuang would find regressing cultivation difficult to accept. "Yushuang, listen to your uncle. Your uncle won't harm you. Just..." Wei too's words were interrupted by a cold, moon-like arc that flashed, slicing a blood mark across his face with sword chi. A slight shift would have meant losing his head. Looking at Wei Yushuang, she had already drawn her long sword. The tip pointed at Wei too, her beautiful face expressionless, only seething with murderous intent. "Yushuang, calm down. Calm down. I'm your uncle." Wei too felt he was about to lose control, fearfully watching Wei Yushuang. He, engrossed in indulgence, reaching midlife with mere Yunling realm 9th level cultivation, was like a mere chicken in Wei Yushuang's presence. If she truly wished to kill him, he wouldn't withstand a single move, instant death. "This is out of familial ties. Anyone trying to make me marry Su Jie again will face my sword. Next time, it'll be your heads." Wei Yushuang swept her gaze around. No one dared meet her eyes. They relied solely on their blood relationship with Wei Yushuang. Seeing her clearly ready to turn against them, none dared test whether Wei Yushuang would truly kill. Note how even Prince Wei too cowered. "You wish to enjoy the wealth and prosperity of the Xia dynasty, then strive and fight for it yourselves. Since Su Jie hasn't exterminated our Wei family, it's clear he doesn't intend to deliberately persecute us. But if you expect to reap benefits by coercing me with familial ties to gain vast riches for you, abandon such thoughts. Don't speak of what's best for me. What does lowering cultivation matter? Even if I disperse all cultivation from the dragon-suppressing heavenly net divine scripture and start anew, I can still reach the purple mansion. Lowering myself to marry Su Jie is absolutely impossible." The last sentence Wei Yushuang spoke with unwavering conviction. The entire room was silent. All Wei family members were terrified, daring not anger Wei Yushuang further. Since Shuang'er made her choice, Let it be settled. Go back where you came from. Empress Xiao broke the silence. Giving the Wei family members an escape route, they fled the hall in a panic. Mother, did I do wrong? Once everyone had gone, Wei Yushuang's determined expression relaxed, showing deep exhaustion. The Wei family had tough times recently. She wasn't exempt from hardships. During the grassland trip, she was maliciously targeted by Su Jie, tasked with subjugating over 10,000 from large grassland tribes, always handed the toughest challenges. During these days, assisting the Great Xia dynasty's army, she had blood on her hands from countless lives in the grasslands. Taking lives wasn't bothersome for her, but aiding Su Jie, who toppled her own country, tormented her greatly. And her obedience to the Great Xia dynasty and Su Jie's orders was solely to protect the Wei family. This large estate, including the one they are in right now, was earned by her on the grassland through numerous battles, exchanging her military achievements for it. Previously, the Wei family members lived in shabby dwellings. But in the end, all her hard work for her clan was met with betrayal by her own Wei family members. At this moment, Wei Yushuang was not just physically exhausted, but her heart was equally tired, feeling utterly distressed. No, what you did was not wrong. Empress Xiao held Wei Yushuang, gently patting her back, saying, Our Wei family is already very fortunate with the current treatment. Many dynasties face inhumane slaughter and reckoning at their downfall, with surviving imperial family members heavily bountied, forced to live their whole lives under assumed identities. But alas, human greed is insatiable. They survive but feel it's not enough and wish to restore their past glory and power, which in my view, only incurs suspicion from the Great Xia dynasty and invites their thunderous assault. Though Empress Xiao was just a woman, her perspective on issues was more farsighted than those clan members. Wei Yushuang felt much relieved, clenching her fist and saying, Thank you, Mother. I know what to do now. In the future, the Wei family doesn't need to rely on anyone but ourselves. We must forge our own path. When our ancestor first came to the ancient continent with nothing, he single-handedly established the Great Li Kingdom. We may not be able to compare with the ancestor, but at least we must live our own lives well. It's best that you think this way. Empress Xiao nodded, revealing a gratifying smile. While the mother and daughter were having a heartfelt conversation, footsteps were suddenly heard outside. Wei Yushuang frowned, thinking it was the Wei family members again, unwilling to give up. But this time, it was not the Wei family members who showed up. Instead, a few eunuchs and imperial palace guards entered. They swaggered in, causing the surrounding Wei family members to cower, unsure of their intentions but instinctively fearful due to them representing the Great Xia dynasty. Proclaim. The holy decree from Emperor Xingyuan has arrived. The lead eunuch took out a scroll of decree, and the surrounding Wei family members fell to their knees en masse, spinelessly. Wei Yushuang stood straight-faced, looking at the eunuch before her, uncertain of Su Jie's intentions. The eunuch, seeing this, did not anger, for after all, Wei Yushuang was one of the few Purple Mansion cultivators in the Great Xia dynasty, deserving respect. The emperor decrees, appointing the former dynasty's eldest princess Wei Yushuang as the general of conquest. As of this day, lead a division of troops to conquer and eliminate all countries on the ancient continent, incorporating them into the rule of the Great Xia dynasty, thus commanded. As soon as the eunuch finished speaking, the entire audience was instantly thrown into shock. Just after having destroyed the Divine Eagle Empire, Su Jie was ready to initiate war again, aiming to destroy dozens to hundreds of countries on the ancient continent to unify it, something even Emperor Tianwu had never achieved. This kind of behavior is indeed excessive, and to say it's just belligerent would be an understatement. Only someone like Su Jie from the Demon Path can execute such ruthlessly domineering acts. Wei Yushuang was momentarily stunned, but once she reacted, she understood Su Jie intended to use her like a beast of burden once more. Being tasked to conquer dozens to hundreds of countries, though Su Jie had loyal followers, he still specifically chose her, a former princess, clearly intending not to let her rest, using her relentlessly. In the aspect of treating people unfairly, Wei Yushuang believed Su Jie to unquestionably be the top in the world. Receive the decree. But rage aside, Wei Yushuang had no right to refuse. For the safety of her mother alone, she had to grit her teeth and accept the decree. Yet in her heart, Wei Yushuang cursed Su Jie thoroughly. This guy is definitely doing it on purpose. One must not hold any hope for him. The more Wei Yushuang thought, the angrier she became, wishing she could capture the bastard Su Jie and give him a good beating if she could. The eunuch proclaiming the decree came and went in haste, leaving Wei Yushuang alone, bewildered in the wind. With the pacification of the Divine Eagle Empire, the great Xia dynasty's tiger and wolf army once again took action. This time, the target was the various countries on the ancient continent. These countries were mostly weak, with small territories and small populations. Often, the strongest person in a country was only at the Taoist platform realm level, and there were almost no Purple Mansion strongmen. Faced with the overwhelming forces of the great Xia dynasty, these small countries could only weep and lament, accusing the great Xia dynasty of being ruthless and ambitious, lacking any semblance of the big brother of the ancient continent, as they were willing to submit, yet still had their subordinates annexed. The great Xia dynasty, under Su Jie's strict orders, launched military campaigns without considering this or that, led by the general of conquest Wei Yushuang, spreading the flames of war to every land of the ancient continent. Externally engaged in warfare, the great Xia dynasty was not peaceful internally either. Throughout the great Xia dynasty, 3 magnificent construction sites brought together millions of laborers and 100,000 cultivators to commence grand projects of wonder construction. These belonged to the construction of heavenly Tao spectacles. The Mystic Sky Immortal Residence recorded a total of 4 heavenly Tao level wonders. Besides the already completed 33-layered heavenly palace, there were the 6 Paths Reincarnation Mansion, the 3,000 Realms Ziwei Exquisite Tower, and the Myriad Phenomena Candle Dragon Temple as these 3 heavenly Tao wonders. Each heavenly Tao spectacle costs tens of billions of spirit stones. Previously, limited by financial resources, Su Jie could only construct the 33-layered heavenly palace. Now that Su Jie had become the emperor of Daxia, in the process of conquest, many aristocratic families and sects were obliterated, and a vast amount of wealth was seized from these millennia-old families. Marching into Li City, he requisitioned over 1 million spirit stones, along with the wealth harvested from the grasslands of the Divine Eagle Empire. Su Jie had accumulated the resources necessary to construct these 3 heavenly Tao wonders. These 3 heavenly Tao wonders were intended for the Ghost Bride, the Thousand-Hand Centipede, and the annual Ringworm. The wonders were meant to transform their divine souls in preparation for their advancement to the Hollow Realm. Thus, although the expenditure was immense, Su Jie unhesitatingly allocated vast resources to begin construction. However, precisely because of Su Jie's actions, waging war externally and engaging in large-scale construction internally, in no time Su Jie earned the title of tyrant. His actions closely fit terms like endless warfare, boastful ambition, wasting human and financial resources, and so on, often linked with tyrants and foolish rulers. Of course, these were only spread in private. No one dared to say such things in Su Jie's presence. Su Jie did not care how outsiders perceived him and resolutely carried out his plans. The Great Xia Palace. Within the royal garden, Su Jie sat in a pavilion while Han Rian sat cross-legged under a nearby willow tree with a twisted and bizarre 10,000 soul banner placed on her knees. The soul banner was filled with endless ferocious ghostly faces roaring, instilling fear in those who saw it. This was Han Rian refining the 10 million soul banner. From the massacre of a large number of rebels in the Divine Eagle Empire, sufficient Yin souls were accumulated for the 10,000 soul banner, meeting the requirements to refine the 10 million soul banner. Buzz! Buzz! In Su Jie's arms, the thousand-hand centipede made a noise. Its pair of insect eyes looked at Han Ruyan, showing some envy. If Han Ruyan possessed the 10 million soul banner, it felt an enormous pressure, possibly unable to contend against Han Ruyan with the banner in hand. Unfortunately, although it was a top-grade 9 refinement goo insect, it lacked suitable magical treasures and relied entirely on its godlike physical body for combat. Thinking of this, the thousand-hand centipede buzzed at Su Jie, complaining about his favoritism, as it also wanted treasure capable of moving mountains and filling seas. Eek, 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 eek. At this moment, a small and cute annual ringworm crawled out from Su Jie's sleeve, making soft cries, as if saying, "With Big Brother here, the two combine, no need to fear her." The thousand-hand centipede was moved and happily rolled around in Su Jie's arms, hugging the annual ringworm with teary eyes, like a pair of close brothers. Su Jie's attention was not on the two playful goo insects but instead on resting with closed eyes. If someone could see Heavenly Tao Fortune at this time, they would find Su Jie's Heavenly Tao Fortune constantly increasing. Golden fortune power hovered above Su Jie's head like a great sun, with strands of golden threads continuously merging into it, making this fortune power ever more grand. This was due to the Great Xia dynasty's army advancing on the ancient continent. One by one, countries were annexed and absorbed by the Great Xia army, expanding the Great Xia dynasty's territory and population. If it were only this, the increase in Heavenly Tao Fortune wouldn't be so significant. It was primarily because the Great Xia dynasty, beyond merely annexing these countries, also treated them as native land to manage, implementing various policies that had continued since the Ghost Ridge Palace. In the feudal environment of the ancient continent, don't assume only the Dili dynasty had aristocratic dominance, where powerful clans stood tall and heavy taxes were rampant. All sorts of man-made disasters present in the Dili dynasty existed in other countries as well. Don't expect these rulers to show much integrity. Compared to the Dili dynasty, these small countries were just varied degrees of worse. The Great Xia dynasty not only brought troops but also introduced a series of well-functioning welfare measures. These scattered small countries on the ancient continent quickly experienced what the Dili dynasty had previously endured. Aristocratic families holding massive wealth and resources were cleared by the Great Xia army. Those sects who claimed kingdoms in mountain ranges had to completely submit to the Great Xia dynasty, paying various heavy taxes, or face the iron fist of the Great Xia army. One by one, noble and powerful families fell, and the entire country's power structure was reshuffled, dispersing the oppressive power of the nobility over the common people. Without the persecution of the aristocratic families, along with the various policies implemented by the Great Xia dynasty, equal distribution of land, granting the vast fertile lands of those noble families to farmers who can till them, tax exemptions, reducing the tax burden on farmers, narrowing the wealth gap, distributing all sorts of national subsidies to help those destitute people survive. In the future, with the construction of various factories, the Great Xia dynasty also plans to introduce various national pensions, medical insurance, compulsory education, and so on. In short, through various policies that benefit the people, the Great Xia dynasty has gained the enthusiastic welcome of the small country's populace. The upper class of the small countries sees the Great Xia dynasty as a monstrous flood, but the suffering masses view the Great Xia dynasty as benevolent masters, proactively helping to lead the charge against their own country's armies. It is these measures that have garnered the hearts of the small country's citizens, improving their previously dire living conditions and restoring chaotic societies to normal. This also makes it so that, although the heavenly Tao of Tianyuan world does not favor Su Jie, it still has to grant him Heavenly Tao Fortune. Currently, the action of annexing the small countries of the ancient continent has just begun, and once the entire ancient continent is annexed in the future, Su Jie estimates that the Heavenly Tao Fortune on him will multiply several times over. Boom! As Su Jie was contemplating whether his Heavenly Tao Fortune was sufficient to refine the entire moon, a rumbling sound was heard. Looking up, Su Jie saw a change occurring where Han Ruyan was. The 10 million soul banner had already been completely refined by Han Ruyan. The black aura rolled and surged like the ocean on the soul banner, with countless Yin souls crowded together like schools of sardines, making the surging black tides roar with the sounds of the myriad Yin souls. A hint of joy appeared on Han Ruyan's face as she gently waved the 10 million soul banner. 18 layers of netherworld mansion formation, open. As Han Ruyan's words fell, the celestial canopy darkened, and the earth became as if it led to the depths of the abyss. Chilling and terrifying buildings, strange and grotesque torture tools, began to spread over the black tide ocean. The entire Delhi city was stirred, with the citizens feeling a bone-chilling apprehension, looking at the darkened sky with a fear that their souls might be sucked in. The pitch-black canopy continued to spread, 10 miles, 100 miles, 500 miles, 1,000 miles. Su Jie looked down at his feet, seeing that a layer of black mist had risen from the ground at some unknown time, with faint wailing sounds drifting in from all around, as if countless prisoners were undergoing severe torture. Through the deep, dark mist sea, Su Jie saw that an image of the 18 levels of hell had manifested in the pitch-black abyss. Souls transformed into their appearance before death, suffering various punishments there. Some had their tongues pulled out and bones disassembled. Some were thrown into boiling oil. Some were dismembered by 1,000 blades, a truly horrific sight. These scenes were clearly the mythical 18 levels of hell, respectively the hell of tongue-pulling, hell of scissors, hell of iron trees, hell of karma mirrors, hell of steam, hell of copper columns, hell of sword mountains, hell of icebergs, hell of boiling oil, hell of bull pit, hell of crushing stones, hell of the mortar and pestle, hell of blood pools, hell of wrongful death, hell of dismemberment, hell of volcanoes, hell of stone mills, and hell of saws. These 18 levels of hell are all distinct, like a cataclysmic wheel of doom, endlessly tormenting one's soul until it dissipates. This is the grand array revealed by the 10 million soul banner, patterned after the mythical 18 levels of hell, with the uppermost buildings occupied by the 10 hall Yama, judges, black and white impermanents, oxhead and horseface, and countless soul-hooking messengers. Su Jie examined these figures closely and found them incredibly familiar. For instance, the appearance of the judge was extremely similar to divine King Tai Mutu, and King Yen Luo bore a 90% resemblance to Nine Heavens Saint Sun Meng Lei Zhe. These figures from the underworld were all strong souls absorbed by the soul banner. They had met their end at Su Jie's hands in life, and in death, they ended up serving in the 10 million soul banner, a fate as wretched as it could be. Su Jie could clearly sense that the 10 million soul banner refined by Han Ruyan had already surpassed the boundary of spirit treasure level, belonging to the most powerful ultimate magical artifact. Ordinary Purple Mansion cultivators entering the Soul Banner formation would certainly face death, becoming a part of the Soul Banner. This 10 million Soul Banner might be comparable to an ordinary Dao treasure. The thought arose in Su Jie's mind that creating a 10 million Soul Banner required at least the sacrifice of 1 billion lives and numerous strong souls. For example, this 10 million soul banner in Han Ruyan's hands contained nearly 20 Purple Mansion-level souls alone. From the 3 great divine monks of the esoteric sect, exotic Purple Mansion cultivators, the Purple Mansion ancestor of an aristocratic family, to the 5 great Dharma kings of the Divine Eagle Empire, including Purple Mansion saints from the Holy Land, and countless souls of Taoist Platform Realm and Secret Treasure Realm cultivators. Thanks to Han Ruyan, the Ghost Empress's masterful refining, the current 10 million soul banner possesses the power comparable to an ordinary Dao treasure, which is normally impossible, as Dao treasures can only be refined by an emperor of the Hollow Realm. But the sheer material within this 10 million soul banner made it achieve the status of an ultimate magical artifact comparable to a Dao treasure. Of course, the current 10 million soul banner is still far from top-level Dao treasures like the 10,000 Dragon Pearl. Han Ruyan withdrew the 10 million soul banner and floated down in front of Su Jie. First glancing at the sulking thousand-hand centipede, Han Ruyan smirked slightly, deliberately shaking the 10 million soul banner in her hand. Sizzle! Seeing Han Ruyan flaunt her treasure, the thousand-hand centipede became very upset, its antennae flailing and jaws opening wide. The annual ringworm wriggled its plump, short body atop the thousand-hand centipede's head, waving its claws threateningly, though it was only palm-sized and seemed utterly harmless, appearing rather silly and cute instead. Han Ruyan curled her lips and shifted her gaze to Su Jie, her words causing Su Jie to break into a sweat. Husband, I heard that as soon as you became emperor, you began to take in numerous concubines and consorts. How many noble concubines are you planning to keep you company? Han Ruyan's beautiful eyes sparkled. Upon becoming a 9th-grade fierce ghost, she had regained her past memories and temperament, though her jealousy remained perfectly intact. Su Jie's expression straightened as he said, "What nonsense is my wife speaking? You are the empress I've personally appointed. Just a consort? That's quite an exaggeration. I have no intention of being a degenerate emperor. Han Ruyin seemed a little surprised and said, I'm the empress? Throughout history, there had never been an instance of a female ghost being made empress. This was unprecedented. Even Han Ruyin hadn't expected Su Jie to do this. None but you. Su Jie nodded, a tacit understanding belonging only to the two of them. Despite knowing that such a move would definitely provoke controversy among the ministers, Su Jie never cared about the opinions of the weak. As they talked, Su Jie suddenly had a feeling, noticing that Han Ruyin in front of him seemed somewhat different from before. During the refining of the 10 million soul banner, my cultivation increased, and I have made some progress toward breaking through to the Yin Deficiency Ghost King realm. I plan to return to Blue Star once. Han Ruyin explained the changes in herself. The 9th grade fierce ghost's body coexists with Yin and Yang, a great ominous presence on Earth, the pinnacle that ghosts can reach in their lifetime. To advance further, to break through beyond the 9th grade fierce ghost, one becomes a Yin Ruins Ghost King, on par with an emperor of the Hollow Realm. Such level of ghost kings almost never appear. It is already exceedingly difficult for normal people to cultivate to the Hollow Realm, let alone ghosts who are abhorred by the heavenly Tao. That's perfect. I also need to return to Blue Star to refine the moon and attempt to break through to the Hollow Realm. My lady can observe my breakthrough process. Su Jie's heart was filled with joy at once. With Han Ruyin being the Ghost Empress, her combat power far exceeds other fierce ghosts of the same level and surpassing cultivators of the same level as well. If Han Ruyin ascends to the level of a Yin Ruins Ghost King, combined with the traits of a fierce ghost and wielding the 10 million soul banner, she will certainly be an immensely terrifying existence, making the curse of an emperor of the Hollow Realm not just empty words, but a reality, and her combat prowess will be comparable to the pinnacle of emperor of the Hollow levels. Wait for 2 days until I've handled the affairs of the Great Xia, then we will return to Blue Star together. Su Jie expressed his plans to Han Ruyin. Though he was still in Tianyuan, his heart had already flown back to Blue Star. Su Jie had a hunch that the next time he returned to Blue Star would be the moment to refine the moon and achieve the status of Emperor of the Hollow Realm. Upon achieving the level of Emperor of the Hollow Realm, Su Jie would have the capital to hold sway in the Tianyuan world, aligning with his title as Emperor Xingyuan. Blue Star Moon. Su Jie appeared with Han Ruyin on the largest crater of this gray-white sphere, the Bellies Crater. Craters are one of the moon's most defining characteristics. Due to meteor impacts, the moon has tens of thousands of interlocking craters, both large and small. Su Jie stood here, gazing around, surrounded by ridged mountain ranges. The craters, with drastic elevation differences, dotted the plains like deep solitary eyes. Husband, let's begin. Han Ruyin softly spoke as her figure floated into the sky above the moon. Su Jie sat cross-legged on the ground, his brow cracking open, revealing the Purple Mansion's celestial palace. In the next moment, a miniature version of the 33-layered heavenly palace hovered above Su Jie's head, no bigger than a palm, yet radiating immense brilliance across the firmament. Bang! In the following instant, the Purple Mansion's celestial palace struck the void heavily, waves rippling outwards in all directions, and a section of space above it fissured, revealing a mysterious space where the Tao River and reality intersect. This space was filled with strands of grayish-white mist, like an endless gray tide, emanating a sacred, magnificent, supreme aura. This is the heavenly Tao space, and beyond the gray tide, one could vaguely see further spots of purple oceans swirling continuously, which belong to Blue Star's heavenly Tao. The moon and Blue Star's heavenly Tao are inherently connected, tightly linked. However, at present, Su Jie cannot refine Blue Star's heavenly Tao. He must begin with the simpler task of the moon. Void! Su Jie's gaze was profound, his hands clasped, using his heart to master the Tao, driving the Purple Mansion's celestial palace into that gray tide. Rumble! Due to the entry of the Purple Mansion's celestial palace, the gray tide instantly burst into turmoil, instinctively resisting and repelling all external entities. Su Jie felt a slight dizziness, but quickly recovered. The heavenly Tao of Blue Star was extremely amiable to him, and since he had already refined 30% of the moon, he had developed a resistance to the moon's heavenly Tao, rendering the repulsion ineffective against him. If it were Tianyuan World, the attempt to refine Pocket World might have resulted in being directly repelled. Su Jie invoked the spiritual power within him, merging Blue Star's heavenly Tao fortune into the Purple Mansion Celestial Palace. Quickly, a strand of gray mist was drawn to the Purple Mansion Celestial Palace, akin to a meteor captured by gravity, gently drifting towards the miniature 33-layered heavenly palace, transforming into a gray imprint embedded in the palace walls. Upon closer examination, this imprint seemed to embody the moon's essence. It felt like confronting a series of undulating lunar mountains or being submerged under hundreds of kilometers of the moon's mantle, a heavy and indescribable pressure sweeping over the body and mind. One after another, strands of gray mist were drawn. These gray mists are the root of the moon's heavenly Tao, which Su Jie deposited into the Purple Mansion Celestial Palace. During this process, Su Jie's heavenly Tao fortune continued to be consumed. But it's just the beginning. Su Jie was not satisfied with the progress. Merely using Blue Star's heavenly Tao fortune would take years to refine the entire moon. Luckily, this journey to Tianyuan World was fruitful. With a thought, distinct from Blue Star's deep purple heavenly Tao fortune, the golden heavenly Tao fortune unique to Tianyuan World separated from above Su Jie's head. It merged into the Purple Mansion Celestial Palace, combining with Blue Star's heavenly Tao fortune, achieving a ratio of 1:20, attracting the moon's essence. Whoosh! Nearby, the moon's essence, like a school of fish drawn in, began swarming towards the Purple Mansion Celestial Palace. Su Jie smiled at the corner of his mouth. Yes, this is it. The attraction of Tianyuan World's heavenly Tao fortune to the moon's essence was much stronger. It was akin to having a VIP accelerator, causing Su Jie's refining progress of the moon to soar by tens to hundreds of times. Moon refinement progress plus 35%. Moon refinement progress plus 40%. Moon refinement progress plus 50%. In just a week, as Su Jie's heavenly Tao fortune was consumed, he had refined more than half of the moon. And the further the refinement, the longer the time required, with the consumption of heavenly Tao fortune increasing accordingly. But Su Jie was unconcerned. He had plenty of heavenly Tao fortune to spare. First, Blue Star's heavenly Tao fortune. Since Su Jie often uses the 33-layered heavenly palace, a wonder of the heavenly Tao level, to absorb vast amounts of spiritual energy from Tianyuan World, secretly transporting it to Blue Star through the Kunlun mirror, Blue Star has granted Su Jie substantial heavenly Tao fortune. Although refining Blue Star remains out of reach, refining the moon is comfortably manageable. As for Tianyuan World's heavenly Tao fortune, following the establishment of the Great Xia dynasty, Su Jie similarly possesses a considerable amount. All this combined gives Su Jie the confidence to refine the moon. On the other side, above the moon, Han Ruyan watched Su Jie's process of refining the moon, her gaze thoughtful, directed towards the depths of space. As time went on, the progress of Su Jie's refining of the moon deepened continuously. When the refinement exceeded 70%, Su Jie had a wisdom aura manifest behind his head. Great wisdom, great brightness, and a grand holy field emerged on Su Jie. The Void Realm practitioner is more than just surpassing ordinary cultivators in battle power. Their wisdom roots far exceed ordinary cultivators. Through the stolen heavenly Tao permissions, it's like an ordinary computer gaining the computational power of a supercomputer. Whether in thought or reaction, their wisdom transcends common reach. Su Jie was now experiencing this step, feeling as if his mind was emptied, with boundless, vast information flooding into his mind through perception. At this moment, inspiration exploded, making Su Jie feel as if he had stretched out countless tentacles, spread across various corners of the cosmos, madly absorbing all kinds of knowledge, with the sensation of omniscience and omnipotence. Su Jie knew that this was just his illusion. How vast the universe is. How could a person be all-knowing and all-powerful? But Su Jie did not waste this opportunity. Leveraging this great wisdom, Su Jie compiled the incoming knowledge to make it useful for himself. Most of the Emperor Dongshu, upon becoming emperors, often create a unique embryonic form of their own cultivation techniques. This is because, when breaking through to the void realm, the wisdom in their mind receives the most blessing from the heavenly Tao, and their computational power is the strongest. Create my own cultivation technique. Su Jie gazed into the dark depths of the universe, seeing the sun radiating infinite heat, colossal gaseous planets, and nebula material. Besides the macro level, Su Jie's eyes also saw the micro realm. The four fundamental forces of the universe: electromagnetic force, strong interaction force, weak interaction force, and gravity. He saw molecules, atoms, protons, neutrons, electrons. Su Jie's mind spun faster and faster, as if a quantum computer deducing with the universe as the scale. Crack, crack. Gradually, Su Jie's body began to change. The gravity around his body started to intensify dramatically. The surrounding material collapsed madly, and the temperature, density, pressure, and magnetic field of Su Jie's body began a series of complex evolutions, even causing light to bend around him, as if his physical body's mass was collapsing light itself. Su Jie stood up, clenched his fists, and the temperature in his heart rapidly rose. Hydrogen nuclei gathered inside him, forming fusion reactions, releasing energy in the form of light and heat. Suddenly, driven by inspiration, Su Jie directly punched towards the Tao River, as if a 100-million-ton-yield nuclear bomb exploded. Floating above the moon, Han Ruyan opened her beautiful eyes wide. Although she was from the Tianyuan world, after living on Blue Star for so long, she naturally also absorbed various knowledge from Blue Star. Seeing Su Jie's state at the moment, she couldn't help thinking about information related to neutron stars and solar fusion. And Su Jie's transformation was far from over. As he deepened the refinement of the moon, the deduction of his unique cultivation technique also became more and more perfect. Dali City. While Su Jie was working hard to refine the moon on Blue Star, across the vast space, Dali City, which had been through the baptism of war, had already completely emerged from the shadow of war and restored its past prosperity. People arrived and left on the streets, and traders' shouts were unending. There was no scene of industry decline typical of a newly born dynasty. Instead, it seemed even more vibrant than the past Dali dynasty. Is this the central city of the ancient continent? A caravan slowly entered Dali City through the city gate. A middle-aged man with a short beard leading the group looked around, a hint of surprise flashing in his eyes. The prosperity of this place almost made him think he had gone to the wrong place. In a typical era of strife, cities on the continent are often in ruin, requiring a few to over 10 years to slowly recover economic prosperity. But Dali City's current state surprised him greatly. Steward Zhang, Manager Liu, Manager Su. Each of you lead a team and act according to the plan. The middle-aged man slowly spoke, and within the team behind him, a group of merchants began to disperse. Unlike ordinary merchants' laxness, they acted with military precision. These people were not really merchants. They came from the Nine Heavens Holy Land, and the merchant identity was just their disguise. The middle-aged man's name was Feng Shang, the hall master of Iron Eagle Hall in Nine Heavens Holy Land with Purple Mansion Cultivation. This hall was responsible for gathering intelligence outside the Holy Land, effectively serving as the Nine Heavens Holy Land's eyes. Normally, intelligence probing wouldn't require him, a hall master, to personally take action, but this time was different. Because the Holy Sun of Nine Heavens Holy Land had fallen here, which was an extremely serious matter for the Nine Heavens Holy Land. The fall of Nine Heavens Saint Sun Meng Lei Zhe wasn't just the death of an ordinary Purple Mansion cultivator. When the Holy Land's Holy Sun travels outside, to some extent, they represent the face of the Holy Land. It's like on Blue Star. Killing a regular person and killing a national diplomatic ambassador are two different matters. The fall of Nine Heavens Saint Sun Meng Lei Zhe on the ancient continent was akin to a slap across the face of Nine Heavens Holy Land. If the Nine Heavens Holy Land couldn't handle this matter well, it would become a laughingstock among the Holy Lands. Therefore, under the strict orders of Emperor Donghuang, Feng Shang personally led a team to the ancient continent, determined to find the murderer of Meng Lezhe and make them understand the consequences of offending the Holy Land. No matter who you are, daring to kill our Holy Land's holy son, the only outcome for you is death. Feng Shang murmured. His eyes turned to a giant full-body imperial portrait posted at the city gate. The man in the portrait was imposing, wearing an imperial dragon robe, with a black crown on his head and a 1,000-hand centipede coiled on his shoulders. His gaze was like thunder, as if about to strike through the portrait, a matchless aura that could be felt by anyone who met his eyes. Could it be you, Emperor Xingyuan? Feng Shang looked at this portrait, reflecting on his various encounters upon entering the ancient continent. He already had his suspicions, and the Emperor Xingyuan, who established the Great Xia dynasty, was his prime suspect. 10 days later, at Dragon Sleep Mountain outside of the Deli dynasty, Feng Shang and his party appeared. Hall Master, I believe we found the murderer of the Holy Sun, Emperor Xingyuan Su Jie, with at least 90% suspicion. According to our investigation, Su Jie possesses martial prowess worthy of a Purple Mansion realm power. If anyone could kill the Holy Sun, it is undoubtedly him. From my investigation, someone said they detected the aura of mixed element divine sky bamboo on this newly risen Emperor Su Jie, which was the treasure of the Holy Sun Meng Lezhe. The investigating cultivators from Iron Eagle Hall reported the situation in a babble, with almost everyone directing suspicion towards Su Jie. Feng Shang did not speak, only gazing at Dragon Sleep Mountain. Despite what his subordinates said, he still wanted to confirm personally. Sealing divine technique. Feng Shang uttered a deep incantation, his hands forming seals, using a secret technique to probe the dynamics of the battles that once occurred here. As the saying goes, wherever the wild goose flies past, it leaves a sound. Wherever people pass, they leave a name. This sealing divine technique can sense lingering auras here and, through heavenly mechanism calculation, deduce and replay the events that happened here in a real scenario. Feng Shang slowly closed his eyes. In his mind, he seemed to see scenes of battles here, seeing the corpses of exotic Purple Mansion cultivators fallen, and also seeing Meng Lezhe holding the mixed element divine sky bamboo, roaring in battle. Let me see who you are. Feng Shang sneered as he directed his gaze at the figure battling Meng Lezhe. His body trembled violently, his head almost exploding. He saw a man, oppressing the heavens and earth, with a body bending light like a black hole, eyes like two solar masses emitting endless radiant heat energy, standing up inside the Tao River. Because of his prying, the man turned his gaze toward him. Before he could react, he saw that man suddenly punch out, as if a glorious, bright day exploded before him, and the boundless light crushed everything. Void realm. How is it possible? Feng Shang's complexion changed dramatically. His sealing divine technique could observe most cultivators, but a void realm cultivator was equivalent to a little heavenly Tao, entirely beyond his prying capability. He had trespassed against the inverse scale of the heavenly Tao. Moments later, Feng Shang's face flushed red as he spat out a mouthful of blood. His whole complexion became weak, and life force drained rapidly. Hall Master! Nearby Iron Eagle Hall cultivators were in a panic, hurriedly supporting Feng Shang and trying to feed him elixir pills. But it was to no avail, unable to halt the drain of his life force. Culprit! Su Jie, he is. Feng Shang's pupils dilated, speaking intermittently, but before he could finish, he spat out another mouthful of blood and died on the spot. The surrounding Iron Eagle Hall cultivators were filled with sorrow, suspecting that Feng Shang fell victim to some kind of assassination, nervously watching the surroundings, and hastily fled Dragon Sleep Mountain. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. On the moon, Su Jie kept his eyes closed. The refining process was nearing completion, stuck at 99%. In Su Jie's mind, a vast amount of knowledge was continuously summarized and deduced. Black holes, neutron stars, nuclear fusion, white dwarfs, gamma rays, supernova explosions, and other information and possibilities were consistently transformed into his own reserves, creating his unique cultivation technique. Suddenly, Su Jie's eyes shot open. The gray-white tidal fog composed of the moon's heavenly Tao roots contracted violently, and the purple mansion celestial palace was imprinted with densely packed Tao divine text. When all the divine texts on the purple mansion celestial palace interconnected, a bright moon emerged from the void, revolving around Su Jie, as if it had become his satellite. A closer look at this accompanying moon revealed it was only 1 meter in diameter, identical to the real moon, with all its densely cratered surfaces, mountains, and ravines, even the internal geology of the moon perfectly replicated to scale. Though this moon looked petite and exquisite, when the gaze focused on it, it revealed more high-dimensional characteristics, as if looking at the projections of the moon across different dimensions, appearing infinitely large within one's vision. At this moment, a notification seemed to ring in Su Jie's heart. Moon refining progress plus 100%. Of course, this notification didn't truly exist, but Su Jie could clearly sense the closeness of the moon before him, like an extension of his limbs. A slight movement in Su Jie's heart caused the moon, a satellite thousands of kilometers in diameter, to come to an abrupt stop, suspended in the silent cosmic deep space. As if physics ceased to exist, the moon no longer adhered to the universe's physical laws, and Su Jie could alter any rule related to the moon within a certain range. At this moment, the moon's mountains and valleys rose like dragons and serpents. The land plates cracked, magnetic fields disordered, and gravity reversed, with this massive satellite changing according to Su Jie's will. In Tianyuan world, Emperor Dongshu grasps the power of laws for a pocket world, and Su Jie, elevating the moon to a pocket world, similarly possesses considerable extraordinary power to rewrite the moon's physical laws. Only today do I truly know who I am. Su Jie laughed aloud, opened his right palm, and struck the air. Accompanying Su Jie's orbiting moon resembled a single eye suddenly opening, gray-white radiance surged. The moon rapidly expanded, transforming into an enormous arm reaching out from the void. This hand, spanning over 100 kilometers, constituted mainly of lunar rock and Xuanwu lava layers. Its skin covered with densely packed craters akin to pores, and those undulating mountain ranges resembling veins and blood vessels of an arm, as if a giant birthed from the moon was enacting destruction. Boom! This lunar rock hand struck the moon, leaving a vast handprint over 100 kilometers wide, forming an immense basin. Emperor Dongshu, terrifying indeed. Su Jie's grin grew wider until it erupted into wild laughter. He was now feeling the true strength of Emperor Dongshu, harnessing the power of heavenly Tao with the laws of pocket world, akin to a little heavenly Tao, easily causing world-ending calamities. Just as accompanying Blue Star, had Su Jie not intentionally refrained from extending the laws beyond the moon, even in his carelessness earlier, he could have disrupted Blue Star's seasons, caused magnetic fluctuations, tsunamis impacting coasts, devastating bustling coastal cities, and causing countless casualties. If Su Jie wanted to, under the moon's laws, he could target Blue Star in 10,000 ways, given that the moon plays a crucial role in stabilizing Blue Star's tidal magnetic field and supporting life. Of course, because the moon is quite special, Su Jie is not an ordinary Emperor Dongshu. Having refined the moon, Su Jie is far stronger than a typical Emperor Dongshu of the same level. Emperor Dongshu's prowess largely depends on the pocket world they refine. The more powerful the pocket world refined, the more power of laws one could control, and the stronger their combat capacity. While the moon may lack the myriad miraculous qualities of Tianyuan world's pocket worlds, its sheer size alone, 3,476.2 kilometers in diameter, 37.9 million square kilometers in surface area, 21.99 billion cubic kilometers in volume, and 7.349 x 10 superscript 2 superscript 2 kilograms in mass, is unparalleled by Tianyuan world's pocket worlds. There's a saying, brute force overcomes ingenuity, and with sufficient mass, Su Jie could use the moon's laws to continue commanding the winds and thunderstorms among the strong of Cave Void realm. Congratulations, husband, on achieving Cave Void. Han Ruyan observed Su Jie's transformation quietly, her beautiful eyes focusing on the petite moon projection orbiting Su Jie, curious and delighted by Su Jie's success. So, Any thoughts on advancing to Ing Ruin's Ghost King? Su Jie laughed heartily, curious if his process of advancing to Cave Void inspired Han Ruyin. Han Ruyin first nodded, then shook her head, saying, I've got some ideas now. Cave Void Realm requires outer refining Cave Heaven for advancement, yet as spirits it's challenging for us. Unlike regular cultivators, we lack such abundant blood and life force. Currently, I plan to use the Tao River as a foundation, first refining my body to a spirit body, then utilizing fear energy with the Six Paths Reincarnation Mansion, this heavenly Tao spectacle, to create a little grotto heaven from myself. Since we cannot refine the cave heaven externally, let's seek inwardly and create our own ghost Tao law to achieve the Ing Ruin's Ghost King. Han Ruyin spoke of her plan, clearly understanding her cultivation path. This idea is good. Over in the Great Xia dynasty, I will accelerate the progress of miraculous construction. Su Jie showed a joyful expression, hugging Han Ruyin's slender waist and smiling. By then, with our duo entering the cave void together, the Holy Land will be nothing. Fortunately, the thousand-hand centipede was left by Su Jie to guard the Great Xia dynasty. Otherwise, upon hearing Su Jie's words, it would surely complain to Su Jie for not being included. Han Ruyin felt a strange sensation as Su Jie approached. Her entire body sensed a powerful gravity, causing her body to start slightly twisting, her blood-colored wedding dress rustling and forming layers of creases. It was only because she was a 9th-grade fierce ghost. If it were anyone else, even a cultivator, they would undoubtedly be torn apart and die on the spot upon nearing Su Jie. I've just comprehended a new cultivation technique, not yet mastered it completely. Seeing the situation, Su Jie understood the problem was caused by himself. Self-created cultivation technique? Han Ruyin showed an interested look, knowing Su Jie's most notable characteristics were his innate divine body and blood-sea-devouring sky demon skill. Yet the technique causing such peculiar gravity clearly did not align with Su Jie's known cultivation techniques. During the promotion to the Cave Void, inspiration struck, combining the blue star knowledge and cosmic astronomical phenomena. I created 3 cultivation techniques. Su Jie nodded, demonstrating his breakthrough to Han Ruyin without reservation. Swiftly, Su Jie alone detached from the moon and flew into the universe. With a cyclone rising within his body, dark purple patterns emerged beneath Su Jie's skin as his flesh, bones, and meridians began a remarkable transformation, where temperature, density, pressure, and magnetic field continuously elevated, rendering Su Jie's body nearly perfectly smooth at the microscopic level. This occurred because the compression of ultra-high-density matter makes everything microscopically compact without gaps, rendering Su Jie's current physique a flawless perfection. Almost immediately upon Su Jie's transformation, a terrifying pressure swept across, shattering meteors large and small that were passing dozens to hundreds of kilometers away. The first cultivation technique, neutron combat body, magnetic field rotation fist. Su Jie clenched his fist, punching out with extreme force, pulverizing a massive meteor over 10,000 kilometers away. This was Su Jie's first self-created cultivation technique, using the extreme cosmic body, the neutron star, as a prototype and integrating Su Jie's own features. A neutron star results from a supernova explosion of a constant star. Its size is incredibly small, often having a diameter of merely 10 kilometers, smaller than most satellites, yet its density is astonishingly great, with each cubic centimeter of neutron star material weighing 1 billion tons. Regarding Earth size, compressing blue star into a neutron star would only measure 22 meters in diameter. Due to its extreme density, a neutron star's pressure can reach 10 to the 28th power atmospheric pressure. Its magnetic field can be as high as 1 trillion Gauss, millions of billions times more than blue star, crushing any object standing upon it into neutrons. If a neutron star were swapped with the sun, blue star would vanish from the universe across the 149.6 million kilometers, destroyed by the neutron star's magnetic field pressure. Inspired by the neutron star, Su Jie created the neutron star battle body, enabling an evolution of his already terrifying innate divine body. Although Su Jie's neutron star battle body cannot yet rival the true power of a neutron star, given a neutron star's mass comparable to the sun, Su Jie's goal for this cultivation technique was ultimately to match a neutron star's might someday. Boom! After activating the neutron star battle body, intense spiritual power began to boil within Su Jie's corporeal form, intertwining and colliding in fission. The second cultivation technique, Sun Fusion Divine Scripture. Su Jie shouted, his internal spiritual power resembling nuclear fusion, energy erupting violently and exponentially increasing. Su Jie kicked out merely releasing spiritual power, yet under the operation of the constant star fusion divine scripture, the spiritual power exploded dramatically. From the kick, the vast void cracked widely, with Tao River's chaotic breath rushing forth. If this kick landed on the ground, it could obliterate towering mountains and peaks. Su Jie's second cultivation technique, constant star fusion divine scripture, drew inspiration from the sun. In the vast expanse of the universe, constant stars shine the brightest as gems in the deep space of the cosmos, suspended high above, continually emitting light and energy across all directions, acting as the energy hub of a star system. The sun's inexhaustible energy source lies within its incredibly hot core. Temperatures in the sun's core reach 15 million degrees Celsius. Its immense pressure enables hydrogen nuclei to overcome electrostatic repulsion, approaching, colliding, and ultimately forming helium nuclei. According to Einstein's mass-energy equivalence formula E=mc², the mass loss instantly converts into vast energy, producing nuclear fusion and energy flowing like torrents, transforming into familiar sunlight and energy sources known to blue star people. The sun's ability to produce nuclear fusion results from gravity and pressure. For Su Jie, who mastered the neutron combat body, gravity and pressure are akin to instincts, easily managed without losing control, causing a nuclear fusion energy explosion and tearing apart his physical body. Ultimately, using solar nuclear fusion as a reference, Su Jie transformed spiritual power into fusion energy, employing similar principles to generate tremendous energy within, akin to a solar furnace. This tremendous energy enables Su Jie to possess spiritual power reserves far beyond ordinary cave void cultivation, enhancing his combat abilities substantially with every punch and kick. Finally, the last is Black Hole All Things Technique. Su Jie quietly stood in the universe, his primordial spirit transforming into Dharma chaos, with the vortex single eye at the center of the chaotic Dharma form continuously changing, slowly forming a twisted dark black hole. This is Su Jie's final self-created cultivation technique, Black Hole All Things Technique. As the name suggests, this technique is crafted by mimicking black holes. Black holes result from the collapse of constant stars. Any substance that approaches a black hole gets devoured. Even light cannot escape. If a neutron star is an energy-releasing celestial body, a black hole is a substance-absorbing celestial body. A true black hole can have infinite mass and potentially distort time and space, coalescing chaos. Aiming for a black hole, Su Jie transformed his Chaos Dharma form into black hole power. The primordial ability of Chaos Dharma, the swirling single eye, is perfectly suited to carry the Black Hole All Things technique. Su Jie's Chaos Dharma form, compared to the past, with its dark vortex single eye seemed to possess the power to devour everything, even light distorted before it, unsettlingly eerie. This is also the greatest reliance on Su Jie's divine soul, where any attacker attempting to target Su Jie's divine soul will witness the terrifying consumption of everything by Black Hole All Things technique. All three techniques are derived from constant stars. Upon observing Su Jie's exclusive cultivation techniques, Han Ruyan's eyes filled with shock, discerning the true might of Su Jie's three techniques. Indeed, Su Jie nodded with a smile. He crafted the neutron star battle body, Sun Fusion Divine Scripture, and Black Hole All Things technique, intricately interlinked. A neutron star forms post-supernova explosion. A black hole forms post-star collapse. Combined with the constant star's nuclear fusion ability, all three unite, enabling Su Jie to simultaneously create three compatible techniques. With these three techniques, the neutron star battle body constructs Su Jie's physicality. Sun Fusion Divine Skill transforms into Su Jie's spiritual power. Black Hole All Things technique forms the foundation of Su Jie's divine soul. This trinity of techniques, paired with the moon cave heaven, makes Su Jie, even upon just achieving cave void, inconceivable compared to ordinary cave void emperors. Blue Star. At this moment, the people of Blue Star were already stunned by the series of events happening in space. First, the moon began to exhibit various inexplicable changes, with a giant hand-shaped basin appearing on its surface, visible even from Blue Star. Then, countless meteors in space mysteriously turned to dust, as if torn apart by an invisible hand. In the past, the people of Blue Star would have immediately assumed the visit of an alien civilization to Blue Star. But now, with the spiritual energy recovery on Blue Star, people seeing such incredible events in space would undoubtedly attribute them to a cultivator. During this time, several exceptionally talented cultivators, led by Shen Xueqing, ascended to the secret realm and initiated live demonstrations, making cultivation wildly popular worldwide. Being able to traverse flying with the physical body, possessing extraordinary martial power, a single person can match an entire army, creating envy and aspiration worldwide, unlike the ruling classes of the past. Especially on Blue Star, there was the existence of true divine beings. Once in the Indian Ocean, a god sat high above the heavenly palace, with the 10,000 feet divine wood forming the heavenly ascension stairs, preaching the path of cultivation. During that sermon, those cultivators fortunate enough to climb the heavenly ascension stairs and enter the heavenly palace to hear the divine preaching gained many benefits, not only expanding their knowledge systems but also receiving portions of divine weapons. Those who benefited the most, such as Shen Xueqing of Jekka Group's Extraordinary Department, the Black Bear Spirit Xiong Yanyu, and the leader of the Feathered Serpent God Sect, La Chica, all took this opportunity to ascend rapidly, breaking through to the secret realm cultivation level, creating a significant gap between themselves and other cultivators. As people on Blue Star speculated whether these changes in the universe were the work of a god, a celestial voice echoed from deep space, synchronously resonating around the globe, landing in the ears of every human on Blue Star. The second sermon will begin in 3 days. Anyone with sincere devotion may come to the moon to listen. This celestial voice, originating from the universe, was quickly followed by the discovery by various national space centers that a grand heavenly palace had appeared on the once empty moon. This palace was the very one previously inhabited by a god, and unexpectedly, its second appearance was on the moon. Hearing the voice of a god, countless people on Blue Star were excited beyond measure, with many unable to resist kneeling and shouting the name of the true god. Though Su Jie appeared only once under the guise of a god, and never sought to develop any followers, the legendary power attributed to him spontaneously attracted a large following of believers. The celestial voice shocked more than just ordinary people. The cultivators were even more thrilled. During the last sermon, the god had disclosed the growth path of the cultivation system, and many gained extraordinary benefits in that state of enlightenment. Many regret not having sufficient cultivation or willpower at that time, missing the chance to ascend to the heavenly palace to hear the divine sermon, thus forfeiting a significant opportunity. Now, with the increase in spiritual energy density on Blue Star, many newly emerged cultivators wanted to follow the example of Shen Xueqing and other seniors to listen to the divine sermon and didn't want to miss this great opportunity. However, those ecstatic cultivators quickly realized a problem. How could they get to the moon? It's worth noting that even in a technologically advanced modern society, getting to the moon is a colossal national endeavor. And with only 3 days left, trying to reach the moon would seem like an impossible task. Even for those who have ascended to the secret realm, capable of flying physically, flying to the moon, traversing hundreds of thousands of kilometers by oneself was impossible within 3 days. But this confusion did not last long. Soon, people noticed that the moon above seemed to have grown larger. In the various national aerospace centers, researchers were already speechless, their facial features twisted from excessive shock, as if witnessing something incredible. For the astronomical instruments discovered an astonishing fact. The moon was moving. The movement of the moon per se is normal, as the moon is the satellite of Blue Star, naturally orbiting around it. But if the moon was not orbiting Blue Star but heading straight towards it, as if intending to merge, that would be profoundly abnormal. Quickly, as time passed, the moon's distance to Blue Star lessened, and even ordinary people noticed something amiss. They could visibly see the moon enlarging, to the extent that even the craters and mountains on its surface became visible to the naked eye. Later, even during the day, the moon hung in the sky like a giant disk, obscuring large parts of the vista. If not for the knowledge that this was the work of the legendary god, the moon's actions alone could bring Blue Star's humanity to the brink of an apocalyptic collapse. The cultivators of Blue Star, along with its scientists, truly felt the significance of the term God at that moment. Manipulating the vast celestial body of the moon to approach Blue Star without triggering any natural disasters, not even altering the sunlight reflected by the moon. Many senior scientists who had spent their lives researching felt the edifice of physics crumbling at that moment, exclaiming that physics no longer existed. 3 days passed rapidly. The moon had come to rest steadily in Blue Star's atmosphere, the two celestial bodies separated by a mere thin membrane. Any closer, a collision of the moon and Blue Star would result in catastrophic disaster. Fortunately, such a thing did not happen. Just after hearing about it on the moon, familiar 10,000 feet divine wood appeared, with tree roots like azure dragons hanging down from the atmosphere to the surface of Blue Star, located in the Southeast Asia region of Siam. In an instant, countless cultivators moved upon hearing the news, scrambling and rushing towards these heavenly ascension stairs. Leading the charge were naturally the only 3 secret realm experts among humans: the exotic beast black bear spirit Xiong Yenyu, Shun Xueqing, and Lai Kika. They effortlessly climbed the heavenly ascension stairs, as if strolling. Other cultivators at the fallen realm were not as relaxed. Many received increasingly immense pressure from the holy Bodhi tree while climbing and ultimately had to retreat, leaving reluctantly. More people gritted their teeth and persisted, unwilling to miss the opportunity. Shun Xueqing climbed briskly. Although she couldn't fly during the ascent, her speed was unmatched by other cultivators. Following closely behind her were Xiong Yenyu and Lachika, the other 2 secret realms. The duo and the bear comprised Blue Star's first echelon of cultivators. Everyone pay attention. We are approaching the end of the divine wood, and soon we will set foot on the moon. Shun Xueqing held live broadcast equipment in her hand, climbing while effortlessly broadcasting. This broadcast was requested by Jekka Group and made available to a global audience. At this moment, it could be said that nearly 10 billion humans on Blue Star were watching, with viewership exceeding 95%. Oh my, this divine wood is way too long. Had I known, I would have eaten less before leaving. Xiong Yenyu, the black bear spirit, rolled his eyes glibly, wandered to the camera, and grinned widely. "Ha! I, the direct disciple of God, am Xiong Yenyu. Follow me and achieve immortality." Shun Xueqing glared at Xiong Yenyu and pushed the bear's face away from the camera with a slap. Lachika was the silent type and did not seek the limelight during the broadcast, especially since he was already famous. For he established the Feathered Serpent God sect in the Beautiful Country, clashing with government authorities and capitalists, leading to intense civil war in North and South Beautiful Country. After becoming a secret realm expert, he infiltrated Beautiful Country's military formations single-handedly many times, causing chaos, easily smashing main battle tanks into iron pancakes, slicing down supersonic fighters with his flying sword, attacking with wind, fire, lightning, and other treasure techniques, appearing and disappearing without a trace. Each raid lasted less than 10 minutes, leaving no opportunity for Beautiful Country to lock onto him with nuclear bombs, striking and then vanishing, leaving the Beautiful Country's military in shambles. This made the world aware of the terrifying prowess of secret realm experts, putting him repeatedly in international headlines and being labeled as an anti-human figure by Western society, only second to the supreme leader of Jekka Group in terms of causing head-splitting headaches. Minutes later, Shun Xueqing finally reached the end of the Divine Wood and set foot on the moon's land. However, upon arriving, Shun Xueqing was dumbfounded. Before her eyes, spiritual root treasure medicines grew. Ancient trees formed forests, lush and verdant. The branches and leaves shone with eye-catching divine radiance, exhaling nature's spiritual energy, making this land akin to a mythical pocket world where immortals might reside. Moreover, arriving on a celestial body like the moon caused her no discomfort. Rather, it felt like Blue Star's surface, where she could breathe freely, and gravity was the same. Even the spiritual energy was denser than Blue Star's. What the? Is this the moon? Xiong Yu's eyes bulged. Since he sought a better life, he was well acquainted with human knowledge, having watched documentaries about human lunar landings. In his understanding, the moon shouldn't be teeming with life but should be desolate and barren, full of cratered meteor pits. But the scene of this treasure land spiritual spring did not match the image of desolation at all. Obviously, it's the handiwork of the divine sovereign. Lechika's eyes flickered with shock as he spoke. Within Xin Xueqing's live broadcast room, the comments were exploding. Holy crap! This is the moon? Are we in the wrong scene, stepping into a Xianxia world instead? I used to think myths about altering the world were mere exaggerations by ancients, but now I realize my understanding was too shallow. This isn't scientific. The gravity, soil, and air on the moon don't support plant growth. The lack of atmosphere, exposing the surface directly to the universe, should prevent signs of life. Hey, you upstairs, you know it's the divine, why speak of science? The divine is omnipotent. I proclaim the moon now belongs to the divine sovereign. Blue Star nations needn't compete, just relinquish it. The first human to walk on the moon, Armstrong, said his small step was a giant leap for mankind. If only Armstrong knew, the divine's small step rewrote the moon's rules. Millions of humans on Blue Star were in an uproar due to the moon's radical transformation, its unfamiliar state profoundly challenging their perspectives. Transforming the moon into a habitat suitable for life, what unimaginably immeasurable power this entails, far beyond the current limits of Blue Star's science. More and more cultivators set foot on the moon, each shocked by the changes, almost thinking they had traversed to another world if they hadn't known they were on the moon, and could look back at the blue star. After overcoming their shock, the cultivators formed teams based on familiarity and headed for the 33-layered heavenly palace standing amid distant mountains. Many first-time visitors to the 33-layered heavenly palace were looking around with curiosity. Veterans, on the other hand, quickened their pace, rushing into the heavenly palace and heading for the grand hall because they knew even when listening to teachings, sitting closer to the front was more beneficial, allowing for greater insights. If they could secure one of the front cushion spots, it was considered a great opportunity. Xin Xueqing, Xiong Yenyu, and Lechika, the three secret realm experts, emerged last time because they sat on cushions while listening to the divine. Soon, a fierce rivalry and tiger predation unfold among the cultivators as they vie for front-row seats, employing various tactics, fighting red-faced. When the dust settled, Xin Xueqing, Xiong Yenyu, and Lechika each occupied a front cushion, with other strong cultivators claiming the remaining spots. At this point, in front of everyone, a figure appeared atop a colorless, nameless cushion. Though the figure's face wasn't clear, the aura of divinity and holiness left every viewer breathless, feeling as if confronting a colossal cosmic body, themselves minute as ants. Even billions watching via broadcast felt sweaty, sensing oppressive pressure like a mountain. Initially planning to end the broadcast fearing divine displeasure, Xin Xueqing hesitated. No problem, for it's a transmission of teachings. Whether one listens or many, is all the same, and what you comprehend depends on yourselves. Su Jie waved his hand, scanning the room, pausing briefly on Xin Xueqing, Lechika, and Xiong Yenyu before saying, "Last time, I discussed various aspects of cultivation systems. This time, I will teach you about auxiliary methods in cultivation, such as the alchemy path, path of artifact refining, talisman painting path, array formation path." Unseen by others, Su Jie noticed the vast human Dao fortune condensing through the broadcast. As he spoke, Su retrieved 3 innate spiritual objects: the holy Bodhi tree, 9-grade sacred lotus, and mixed element divine sky bamboo. Upon ascending as the Emperor Dongshu, having refined the moon and created cultivation techniques, Su Jie, possessing the Emperor Dongshu's standard setup, lacked one thing: a Dao treasure, the exclusive divine weapon of Emperor Dongxu. Various methods exist for crafting Tao treasures. One involves refining precious spiritual materials, but Su Jie invested his materials into constructing heavenly Tao-level wonders, making this approach infeasible. Another method involves slaying mature Tao chaos creatures, using their bodies as material, but such creatures equal Emperor Dongxu and are not easy to find. An alternative method for crafting Tao treasures utilizes gathering human Tao fortune to create heavenly fortune treasures, which similarly count as Tao treasures. And this, namely, is the chosen direction and the purpose behind Su Jie's transmission of teachings this time.